Welcome back to the Top 6 show. Hit the like button. Make sure you are subscribing to the Football Terrace. Got bell notifications turned on as well. Loads to talk about. The transfer window is open. Big story circulating across the mainstream media. Of course, we're looking ahead another big weekend of Premier League football with the signature game, the biggest game of the weekend, of course, Man United going to Anfield. We're looking at Chelsea. Will they bounce back? Arsenal and Liverpool, of course, on good runs of form. Spurs being Spurs. Got a great panel for you today. We've got Kunle, we've got Dan, we've got Philip back on Toon Tactics. I don't know if he actually uses his real name online, but I've just told everybody what it is.
No, it's all right. My stream literally says Philip, like in big letters.
Cool.
So
for a second there, because I've run into a few people where I've used their real name and go, oh, shit. Like have
I can't be Batman anymore. Thank you.
Sorry, bro. We've got Will on the show. David's here, and Henry Talks Bullshit is on the terrace again. How are we, gentlemen? Happy New Year, by the way. Good tidings and Happy New Year and all that shit.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Did
you say sorry? Bow on me. Didn't you understand? Jeez, come on, bro.
Sorry, I didn't even know what you said. What's that again?
Bow on me. I said it so clearly. How do you not understand? Even Terry.
Is that French or something?
Yeah.
Oh, French is Is it Bonani? I think that's it in French. Listen, I didn't even know what you said. I don't wait. Someone's called me Henry. What was everyone cracking up at?
Oh, because you're sensational, Henry. Never change. Smash the likes, Henry. Smash the blood likes for Henry, bro.
I don't understand what I've said.
Watch it back.
Anyway, transfer window's open.
Yeah.
Henry doesn't support a team. Yeah, to be fair, Henry now owns a Football Terrace. I can see that.
Well, someone wrote that. You own the Football Terrace. Oh, okay.
Yeah, apparently.
Fair enough. There we go. Cool. Welcome. Yeah, that was hilarious, Henry. That was brilliant. When you said what language is that, and then said French, I thought you were going to say Chinese or Japanese at first. But that's the level you were going to go down, because a few of my friends from Essex have said that as well before. But there we go.
Henry, it's not a language that you would know of. Don't worry.
Yeah, it's cool.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So why is everyone surprised then?
No, but it's just funny that like you
picked French of all languages.
Yeah, all languages.
It's funny because
it was the combination of it.
It's like process of elimination, if that makes sense. Do you know what I mean? It's like
what language is it? Is it Yoruba or something?
Yeah.
What?
You didn't even say Nigerian, Dan. You said Yoruba.
That's right, no.
You can see Dan had some love pies and the jam before. You definitely dated a Yetunde or Yewande, 100%.
You can tell that Dan's from London and Henry was an extra on Gavin and Stacey. Do you know what I mean? You can just tell, innit? You know what I mean? You can just tell.
Pretty accurate.
Dan's had a few adiolas, mate. You can tell.
Oh, wow. Yeah, the closest Henry's come to it is Haribo. Do you know what I mean? That's about as close he's got to it. But you hit the like and the share button for us, please, people. Make sure you've got that done. Loads to delve into today. Oh, but yeah, sorry, that actually made me laugh. I might have hurt my chest. Before we get to the football of the weekend, one of the biggest stories of the day that circulate in the Mirror, the Daily Mail, and a few others. We know that Man United are looking to sell a number of players. There could be up to between 3 to 5 players leave this January. As it stands, potentially Rashford, Garnacho's head, Xerxes looks a real possibility to leave, along with Casemiro and some others. But a name that's emerged, and maybe earlier than United fans expected, but I suppose situations dictate, is that United are set, if they can raise the money, to put in a bid somewhere in the region of 80 million euros for Viktor Gyökeres. I want to throw this out there. Is that the type of signing Man United need right now to help improve this team, which we all know we're struggling? We all know Man United are in a bad situation. Would Xerxes out, Casemiro leaving, and someone like Viktor Gyökeres coming in, is that the type of business United have got to do now?
It's one of the deals that they've got to do because you need goals. Like you're not scoring, and he obviously has a fantastic record under your manager. So it's one of the deals, but I don't think it fixes everything. It might just soften.
Isn't there like limited transfer budget as well? Like I haven't, due to the PSR situation, all the reports always say United have never got any money, and then they go out and spend the money. But isn't there like a genuine problem with the fact you've got to raise funds before you?
Yeah, let's just what we'll do. We'll address that bit to begin with. Yes and no. Ineos will continue to plead poverty even when there is money, but there are some problems. But it's more about moving players on before we can bring people in. Not because of the transfer fees per se, it's the salaries. You've got to think, if Rashford and Casemiro were to leave, as an example, that's nearly £700,000 a week saved in salary. There's talk that Anthony could be on his way to Real Betis. That's another £150,000 a week saved. You actually think someone like Gyökeres, they're anticipating he'll come in on about 180. So you just think about signing 3 or 4 players, not in January on that kind of money. For getting rid of 2 big money earners, you could bring in 3 or 4 players. So I do think we have to move some people on. But the idea that there's £0, that's pretty much said about Man United every single transfer window, and we always spend. So I don't personally believe it to that extent. But Gyökeres as a player, Henry, do you think that could be someone that could help drag United out of this? I'm going to say it, this relegation battle the media says we're in.
Yeah, 100%. He's got his goal record in Europe and in Liga Portugal. He's very good. He's obviously played in the Championship as well, so he knows what the intensity of English football is like. I think he would do well, but you're in a position right now where you need someone to come in and then have immediate impact. And I think he may take a bit of time to adapt to the Premier League. There was a lot of optimism when Xerxes come in. Now he's getting absolute pelters from the fans. I think he should definitely be high on the priority list, but it's not the priority for me. Man United need midfielders. That midfield of Casemiro and Eriksen together can never, ever play ever again. Like, they just don't have the legs.
In world football, not even just at Man United.
Facts. I'll be honest. I think that is the worst central midfield pairing in the league that I've seen this season. They don't have the legs. Like, they're okay on the ball. Eriksen's a decent passer, but Newcastle looked at that with Joelinton, Bruno, and Tonali, and it was like, yeah, this is going to be easy. You need someone like alongside Kobe who's got legs, who can run and dictate games. I don't think if you've got a sell to buy spending 70-80 million euros on Viktor Gyökeres, as good of a signing as it would be, shouldn't be the priority.
I get that. Go on, Phil.
Just on how exposed your defense is as well, like that midfield. Yeah.
No, but at the end of the day, it's one story. There is obviously, we don't know if Man United haven't got midfielders lined up already. Like, so it's not to say that he's, just because the story came out, that he's necessarily the priority. They could be keeping their irons hot in a number of different transfer deals. I think in and of itself, as the deal, 80 million. It's not it will never be a financial concern at the moment for Man United. My only concern would be is, like Henry pointed out, you've tried Xerxes, you've tried Højlund, and so you try to go young and talented, and it hasn't worked out. My question is, why are the scouts not picking? And I know that you can't get, relatively between 30 to 50% chance of success rate in terms of scouting and recruiting successful players. But this is, this could be the third now striker that your scouting team, department, whoever's kind of working out is getting it wrong. Like, why? And therefore, has that been fixed now that you are looking at Viktor Gyökeres? Because that is a huge sum in of itself. But
no, I agree. I agree with that element. And I said this before we went on the stage. I'm going to try my best in the coming months to not give too many opinions on Man United when I'm asked questions, because it's often, as I say, it's quite loaded. If one of the reports, well, multiple reports though that I've read, not from yourself, Phil, just in general, but what I've read in the last couple of weeks is the reason why Dan Ashworth was sacked is a few people have said recently Ineos don't know how to run a football club. And I agree. I don't think any of the billionaires that own our football clubs know how to run football clubs directly. They have to bring people in that are experts. Ineos made a mistake. They went for Dan Ashworth, who has a good pedigree, and Dan Ashworth's decision. And if anyone thinks he didn't start work until June, you're a fool. You never had a real job in a big organization if you think a senior person on gardening leave doesn't start implementing what they want and giving direction early. It happens as regular as clockwork. he made the decision. It's been very well documented that we're going to build a structure for Ten Hag, which I would say 50 to 60% of Man United fans at the ground and online supported. Give Ten Hag a structure and he will deliver. They brought him in some coaches that would understand him. They brought in players like Xerxes that he wanted. They brought in individuals that would work for him. I think some of the signings are kind of multifaceted. I can see already Mazza can work in multiple systems. I think Yoro's got the technical ability to work in multiple systems, so that they're fine. But a player like Xerxes, it does appear now more so than ever, was a not Ten Hag specific, but this is the brand of football that Dan Ashworth and the club said we're going to stick with. We've already got the coach for it. They felt that it would be a less expensive rebuild of the squad because they could just build upon what they'd already started. That's the mistake. As opposed to Xerxes is a sort of symptom of that mistake, if that makes sense. We should never have done that. The decision should have been what the other 30, 40% of us was asking for, and that's get rid of the head coach, try something completely new, strip everything back to basics and start again. Sometimes life's just a little bit easier when you do that. So I do agree that it's a terrible look for Man United to have signed Højlund and it hasn't worked to the level we want. It's a terrible look to have Xerxes come in and come January be moved on. However, if the reports are now true that we are completely changing the style of football and 80% of this squad isn't fit for purpose, I don't care whether they came in the summer or 8 years ago. If you can't fit it and there's offers for them, we just got to start moving them out now. The only thing I'm hopeful of, and I can only be hopeful because I'm not the one doing it, is that the new recruits are as close to perfect profiles to what we're trying to build moving forward. Because Man United's biggest problem in the last 11 years, all banter aside, is that we have never stuck to a particular system that needs a certain type of player. We've never done that. It's been a year with this guy, 2 years here, 18 months with this manager, 3 years here. And we've ended up with these horribly constructed squads that have never really been good enough to create a consistent style of football and create consistent results. So
Terry,
even with... Sorry, go on, mate, go on.
I should interject on that in terms of Dan Ashworth, because I'm going to risk not kind of being annoying, but in terms of just understanding what maybe Man United fans and content creators' perception of what they think Dan Ashworth does. Because we understood here when he was at Newcastle is that he's not the type of sporting director that's there to scout, to profile players. He doesn't even like to negotiate deals. That's one of the reasons that frustrated us. So he's not like, for instance, we've got Paul Mitchell there. He's flying out, doing deals. Like Dan Ashworth, he literally described himself as the spoken between the wheel. So he connects all the departments, similar to what he did at Brighton. Brighton had a great kind of stats gambling-based system where they could profile players, and then they had great scouts themselves. They needed someone to connect that together and coordinate it in a way where they can regularly and consistently get good players in, like what they're doing now. That's what Dan Ashworth does. Don't ask Dan Ashworth to negotiate deals, to profile, to scout.
I agree.
But what I'm kind of feeling and sensing, and it's just, I know I'm not saying it's concrete, but I'm kind of playing with the idea at the moment, was I feel like a lot more of weight has been put on Dan Ashworth. We got these deals because of Dan Ashworth. We got Ten Hag stayed because of Dan Ashworth and all these other things. But it's...
So that's a great chat. I agree with you. I don't think he does all of the day-to-day operations within that. But what was very well documented when we were negotiating for him is that he was going to be the person that dictated the brand of football we played and the type of football that we were going to operate in. So ultimately, if you're deciding on there's no way you decide to play the brand of football that Amorim dictates. There's no way Dan Ashworth said, this is what we're going to do to bring your vision to life. And then they decide to keep Ten Hag. For me, you decide to keep Ten Hag because whatever, I don't know what you call his brand of football. I don't have a name for it.
So who did you want though? Who did you want in the summer then? Because
I didn't personally care. So for me, I wanted Ten Hag to go.
Like who do you think Man United wanted? Like who do you think there was the number one candidate? If it was Amorim.
So this is what was well documented in the summer is, and I actually think this is a healthy thing for any business, is there was debate. So not everybody that was brought in by Ineos. So from Barada, Ashworth, Wilcock, there was different views. Some were for Ten Hag, some were against it as an example. But ultimately, the sporting director was given a large percentage of control in that. Barada, who was the CEO, but again, yes, he's a CEO, but that's overlooking multiple areas of the business, not just the football operation. He was more towards Amorim as an example. For me, I never felt that was particularly important. I felt that we had to start again from scratch. That was more key for me. I didn't really care what direction we went in from there, as long as we maintained the level of consistency from that point. I have my personal preference, of course, but I can be objective in that. If we decided to go down a sort of an old school Jose Conte route and build really strong, quick, pragmatic teams, fine, stick to it. I didn't mind if we tried to do what we're doing now, as long as we stick to it for a prolonged period. And I think LB said this on Straight Facts in the summer, and he was absolutely spot on that keeping Ten Hag is probably going to set the club back a year. And that's what it's done, because we're only now starting to do what we should have done in the summer, and it's just a waste, really. So no, I listen. I agree, and I have more concerns now than I did in the summer, because we've seen a mistake, and I'm worried about another one. But I can't condemn a mistake yet that hasn't happened. So we will see. In terms of Gyökeres, look, I think he's a phenomenal striker. I really do, and I do get your point, Henry, about midfield and other areas. What I would say is this: if you look at the defeats we've had in the last few weeks, defensively we've got to shape up. There's no doubt about it. But the amount of chances and simple chances we've missed in those games, I actually think we could have turned some of those results around had we had a prolific goal scorer and or somebody. So I'm not stating that we don't need to address midfield. I'd like, if I had a magic wand, I'd love to go and get Gyökeres, Gyökeres, and and Belieber. If I could sign 3 players right now, realistic, good age profile, give me a left back, give me a midfielder, give me a striker, that would be ideal. Ederson's a great point. I don't think he's available because of their title race. But yeah, if he was, I like him. For me, the reason why I think it's, if we can get him now, I think we should move for Gyökeres, is I think even more clubs are going to want him in the summer. And if we could strike early and stop a Chelsea, stop a City, stop a Liverpool or somebody else getting him, I would love that. But I do agree 100%. Just signing him doesn't fix Man United. Any Man United fan that thinks, right, we're sorted now, you're crazy. I'll keep saying this till the cows come home. This is a 3 to 4 year long, hard process to strip this squad, to build a new one and create consistency. It was never, ever going to become brilliant in the first few months. Anybody that deluded themselves into thinking that is crazy. It's always going to be a long, hard road.
Yeah, so I have a question. It's kind of so following up on like what you said about a 3-4 year process. I think Gyökeres is probably the most sought after striker in world football right now. But if you're the player, right, why would you want to go to Manchester United right now? Seeing like how they are, right? He's 26 years old. So he's closer to 30. If this is going to take 3-4 years for you guys to get back to challenging, why would he want to do that when he could just wait until the summer? And then maybe he can get a move to an Arsenal who are in a better situation to compete. Or like maybe a Bayern Munich might go in for him because Harry Kane's not getting any younger. Like, why go to Manchester United? I know that his former manager is there and he does know the system, but I don't necessarily think that would make the most sense for him career-wise.
It's a fair challenge. It's a fair challenge that holds water. I'm not going to sit here and say it's nonsensical, because it isn't. A challenge to that would be, if you, and this has been my answer to that question for a number of years, and I think it still stands up. If he's part of a team that can win some trophies along the way, which we all expect as United fans, but then in 3 seasons is challenging for a league title, and in 4 seasons wins it, and in 5 seasons wins the Champions League, due to the size, and we know how big we are, because since we lost at the weekend, there's been 39 articles about what would happen to our club if we had potentially got relegated. That doesn't happen unless you're the biggest. 39 separate articles created talking about it and things like this. That's just to name one thing. Since the Rashford fallout, the Telegraph alone has done 47 articles about him as an individual. And the reason why I think that is significant is it works in reverse, though. We get the most attention when things are bad. But if you're part of a team that can win the league again, which is what we've got to aim for, whether people think it's realistic or not is irrelevant to the point I'm making. If you can be part of a team that wins trophies and then becomes league title winners, the level of legacy that you can leave behind in the English game is gargantuan. Eric Cantona joined us relatively. He didn't join us as old as this man is, but he joined us. He actually started winning titles straight away. But there was a number of players that were part of that Man United team who had joined 2, 3, 4 years earlier, who were kind of laughed at. You know, when Mark Hughes returned, when he was at Barcelona, we hadn't won a league title in years. There was a lot of, why are you leaving Barcelona to go to Man United that are in trouble, as an example, or haven't won for a while. So that for me, listen, I think the argument against it holds water. I get some people view it and go, why would you go there? There is something attractive about going to one of the greatest sporting institutes of all time and being part of a genuine rebuild and getting it back to the top. For me, that is what I think motivates some players.
And Terry, you're right in terms of that for certain players but for Gyökeres in particular, he's about to enter his peak years. Like he's 26 right now. And is he going to be, just like Will was saying, is he going to wait 3 years to be part of a potential title challenge rather than, like as he said, he's hot right now and the peak of, this is probably his last, it could potentially be his last big contract, depending on what happens after this move. So
great point.
In terms, the difference between him and a Cantona was kind of like the final piece of a puzzle that really took you.
I understand that, and I think again that's why I mentioned Mark Hughes, who came in a lot earlier as an example. You know, there was again different side of the coin, but the likes of Brian Robson, Captain Marvel, that stayed right until the end, who had opportunities to go and join some of the biggest teams in the world, but stayed because he saw what was coming. You also have, someone here, it's a great point. It's the same argument every year. I don't use the same argument, but it holds water just because we get asked the same question every year and the point remains the same. Also, there could just be, well, he knows the manager and trusts the manager. And maybe he looks at it and thinks to himself, I think
he can get the best out of me.
He can get the best out of me. Or I think he can turn this around a lot quicker, because the one thing I would say, the one group of people supporting Amorim and Man United now more than Man United fans is Sporting fans that are saying everything happening right now at Old Trafford on the pitch is identical to what happened in the first couple of months at Sporting. And it takes this little bit of time, takes a few signings, and trust me, it's going to go well. So again, as a possibility, as a reason, maybe Gyökeres looks at it and says, I think this team could be one of the best in the world in 2 years' time, and I want to be part of it. Now, rival fans will say, that's cap. But at the same time, you're asking for a logical reason. To say that what I've said doesn't hold water is people just hating on Man United.
But Terry, but it's not about hating on Man
It's not logical, that last part you said, like.
Of course it's not.
I hear it. It holds water.
I don't think.
Of course it ain't logical if you don't like Man United. But I'm saying someone who's worked with him may think it is.
But I don't think that it's about hating on Manchester United. I just think it's just about, why would a player that can go to any club in the world, or a majority of clubs right now, and play a big role for them, choose to go to Manchester United right now? Because how I view it is, if I'm Viktor Gyökeres, right, I would rather wait, right, and see what happens at Manchester, like see what other pieces they bring in first before I would want to join them. Like, I wouldn't want to be the first piece that comes in.
There's no need to rush in now in January. Let me see what summer say.
But I'll say, having said that,
the summer window, like after you guys maybe make a few signings in January, like let me see how Ineos back the manager first, because again, the next move that he makes is probably going to be the biggest move of his career, because he's 26, and we all know that attackers, it's a young man spot. Like, by the time that you're saying you might be able to compete, this guy's going to be like 30 or 31. And then by that time, now we're on the Top 6 show talking about the next young striker that should be coming in to elevate from what. But
can I ask you guys? This is the question. But this is I get your logic, and what you're all doing though is you're being very subjective and thinking about it from your point of view. So I want to throw a few names off at you. Okay, so why did Alan Brazil? Why did Paul Ince? Why did Brian McClare? Why did Mark Hughes? I'm going to the archives because I actually watched the Sir Alex Ferguson. What I want you to all go and do after this is educate yourselves a bit. Go and watch it's on the BBC. Go and watch the two-part documentary about Sir Alex Ferguson and listen to the things.
It's good.
So when you watch it, again, it's not about propping Fergie at all. This ain't about
Let me respond, please, guys. Sorry.
If you listen to what's going on at Man United now, very similar to that time. The point is that this is I can only give you an answer which is based on what other stars have said. There's a draw that Man United have, whether we're great or whether we're bad, that is just different from other football clubs. And that is an attraction to some people. I can't answer for Gyökeres because I'm not him. I've already given 3 logical reasons as to why a player would join. Man United have been in the mud before, and in all those periods, we have signed some of the best young talent and some of the best talent available in the world at that particular point. So it's never changed in 40, 50 years. So
all your examples you use were British.
But back then, the clubs in the UK were very rarely signing international players. That wasn't something that became common
No
practice
facts, but
until the
but
90s.
you need more international examples for I think
well, you
now
don't,
because things
back
have
in
changed.
back in the late 80s, Liverpool, Arsenal, Aston Villa, Leeds United, Everton, to name a few, were all seen as light years ahead of Manchester United. So these players were picking us when we were mid-table in the Premier League then. So I get your point and I understand it. But if I just want to answer it arrogantly, Man United have, for the past 100 years, and I believe for another 40 to 50 years, it bothers rivals to their core. We are just a Hollywood club. And it doesn't matter whether we're 14th or 1st, we have and always will be attractive to talent around the world. Not all talent, but Man United have always done it. Man United have always been attractive. Even when we weren't the biggest club in England, we've always been the most attractive club, one of the most attractive club in the country, no matter how good or bad we've been in the league. Simple as that.
I think Terry, what you're I'm not, correct me if I'm wrong. I think what you're mistaken, what we're saying is that we're not saying Manchester United do not have pull. I just want to make that clear. They have plenty pull, but for this particular player in this situation, it like logically, if I'm him, I'm gonna wait till summer where I've got kind of the pick of all players that I could, or all teams I could go to, rather than. And
this is where you're not listening to me. Everything you've all said, I've agreed with and said I see the logic in it. The difference is why I said before we went live, I don't want to answer questions about Man United anymore, because I answer it. And instead of people going, I disagree, but I see where you're coming from, it's I can't see it. No. There's no objectivity. Because again, I'm not going to give an answer that's going to change your mind, and I'm not trying to change your mind. But I feel I presented 3 logical answers, and not once has the response been, I can see where you're coming from because history dictates it, or some players are motivated by that. Where when you've given me your examples, I've said, holds water, it's logical. And at the end of the day, whether rival fans like it or not, this January potentially, and in the summer, Man United will sign good players. Everyone laughed when we were linked to Euro in the summer. He ain't getting him over Real Madrid. And we did. This goes right back to when we got Paul Pogba, 9 years ago now. No way you getting Pogba because you're not in the Champions League. You're not doing this. And we did. And the reason why I laugh at this question is for the lifetime of Man United, we've been told, you ain't getting this player over these clubs that are better than you. And we've consistently done it.
Yeah, but Terry, nobody is arguing the size of Manchester United. Like we all know that you're one of the biggest clubs on earth. But I think none of the points that you made for why a player would choose you is you didn't bring in money. I feel like whenever you guys get these young promising players, it's because you are just willing to outspend the other people that might be interested. And I think
when you say that, Will, we have definitely put certain people on too much money in the last decade. I give you that. But when I look at this historically, Man United weren't the biggest spenders under Fergie. We had some seasons where we broke some records, but we were consistently not the top spenders in England, whether it be on transfer fees, agent fees. Even now, Man United are not one of the highest in agent fees by and large. This summer, under a different regime, so we can only judge what we're doing now based on what this team did. Players signed on much lower wages typically than before. A few people in the comments said, Terry, you're not very good at selling, though. Fair point. Historically, under the Glazers, we haven't been. But this summer just gone was the most amount of money in the club's history ever raised through sales. And I understand everything you're all saying, but the way you're all talking, and this is why I think logically speaking, if we're all honest, what you're saying is less likely than what I'm saying, because the idea that Man United can't attract top talent, I just think is not going to happen. We are going to bring in very good football players.
He did it with Raffles around.
Specifically saying talent and players. We're talking about Gyökeres in particular. So that's why I want you to respond. Big players will still definitely go to Manchester United.
Yes, but this has been said. This got said about Varane, about Paul Pogba. It got said about Euro in the summer as an example. It has been said every year since Fergie left. The same question every year. Why would they pick United and why you now?
You have to be real. It's about them, but you can't not bring up the money though, Terry.
Right, so let me try you guys.
That was a record bid.
We pay well. We pay well. And can you guys then provide me with any logical reasons as to why top talent and top players would want to join Man United at this time? What logical reasons do you think there are?
Yeah, well, because Will and Kunle, surely Gyökeres is in isolation as one deal. He finds Manchester United way more attractive than the majority of other strikers currently at his level in Europe right now. But one, because of the manager, and two, because of his situation that he's in at Sporting Lisbon, where they've replaced Amorim, they've sacked their manager a week ago. It's not going well there. Why would he not go to the guy that's unlocked him? He's 26, by the way. Like, it's not like he's 24.
Why would the
isolation.
reasons why maybe is because the guy that he's going to follow hasn't really figured out what's going on in his new home. Like, he doesn't know what's going on yet. So is bringing hold on. If bringing Gyökeres is like I don't think even
it's
bringing
like
Gyökeres
bringing
would allow him
Jorginho
to play his
Chelsea.
football how he wants to just yet. I think someone like Osimhen would be more suited to Man U right now because
Hang on, but why would Victor Osimhen
go there though? What's his title?
Who's older? That's also got tops going for him. Why would Gyökeres, who's got
he's
Liverpool,
at Galatasaray.
Can I answer?
Yes.
I mean,
what's the difference with these talented players?
but he's at Galatasaray.
But he's got other top clubs that are looking for him.
Galatasaray.
He's only on loan though.
Yeah, no. But what I'm saying is nobody really. But aside from Chelsea in the summer window, who else went in for Victor? Oh, sorry. Well, for
that's
for
one. Number two,
well,
like Osimhen, his club clearly hates him, and do you know what I'm saying?
That's
And,
how
and
the
no
club
other big
was
clubs.
in.
And hold on, and no other big clubs are currently in for him. So man, you have kind of.
But there's
a
no
free run
other
of
big
him
club.
right
There's
now.
no other big club that's linked with the official move with Gyökeres right now. Who? Arsenal have briefed the media, said they pulled out. What are you talking about?
When?
3 days ago. 3 days ago.
And there was the thing out today that they're more considering Isak than.
But is it speculation or is it like?
But I think profile-wise, Isak suits what Arsenal are looking for more. Gyökeres obviously suits what Amorim is looking for more. I think that makes so much sense.
100%.
Yeah, listen, as I say, people always say every year, apart from money, there's nothing else that Man United offer these players. We will see. If you think it's just about money, then just again, we could have saved ourselves 15 minutes. If people just said they'll only go for the money, I'd have gone, thanks for giving me your opinion, and we could have moved on.
I'll just
stop asking me questions and just give your fucking opinions. It's
I'll only add my 2 pence worth is that there is no issue of Man United attracting players. When Newcastle were first taken over and were facing relegation, we still got Bruno Gomes, we still got Kieran Trippier. That's Newcastle. That's not Man United. We then got Isak the following year, and people I'm sure will be asking, why did he go to Newcastle? He still came to Newcastle. My issue, my flip side of the coin for Man United is the phrase that says, you are who you attract. And Man United have been attracting not very good characters and attitudes and profile of players for a long time now. My worry wouldn't be can we attract? My worry is who are we attracting? And what does it say about us? Because if we see Højlund, if we see Xerxes, and I know you can say Dan Ashworth, but it's not just one guy that's ruled Manchester United for the last
Amorim is now basically saying those players aren't going to be in my team. It's not easy.
And I also think the players that are considered toxic, none of them have been signed or put into the club by the current people making decisions, if that makes sense. So Xerxes isn't working, but there's no talk that he's a bad apple and he's a bad guy. It's just not right for this manager, and it's a deal that we just shouldn't have done, which I also think is the reason why we should get rid of him quickly, because he's going to hold his value, because you're not going to clubs and saying he's rubbish. You're saying we've just changed our direction, so it's a bad buy for us, but he's still the player that you want to get. But look, viewers, let us know your thoughts and feelings. How much money is it going to cost Man United to convince a player that doesn't want to come to join, like Viktor Gyökeres or Gyökeres or someone like that? Let us know in the comments section below. Before we move on to the games, another big story today it connects to Arsenal, and it's surrounding Omar Marmoush, obviously a very talented player, very prolific individual. A few journalists have put out an article today saying that Arsenal are leading the race to get him. There could be a bid as early as this January. I reached out to those journalists and asked for an opinion. Do you think this is something that could happen? And they've said there's more possibility of that than a number of the other strikers that they've been linked to, the likes of Gyökeres, the likes of Isak, etc. Kunle, from your point of view, Omar Marmoush, obviously very talented, lots of output, pacey, quick. Is that the kind of player you would like Arsenal to go and sign this January?
To be honest, I'm not going to pretend I know a lot about this player. As soon as I heard about him, I just did the usual check on YouTube. And when I look at players at YouTube, I don't look at the flicks and tricks. I look like for technique, first touch, how they take on players, how they finish chances and stuff. And he looks decent. I mean, technically he looks better than Martinelli or Trossard on that side, which is not hard in this current season, to be fair. So, but because I don't know, because I've not been hearing about him a lot until just now. So I don't know if he's the player we need, but someone that could, if he's effective on that left side and he can continue this form that he started this season, it appears in. Yeah, potentially. We definitely need someone on that in that position because Tweedledee and Tweedledum aren't doing it this season. So we definitely need to get a better option over there. I don't know who knows more about him though. Maybe someone knows more about him.
I think he's very, very good. My only worry would be how he translates to the Prem, but that's like a really, really basic.
David, is he quick or has he just got a little acceleration? I haven't figured that out. Is he actually fast?
He's not. I wouldn't say he's like a pace man, but he's not slow. He's got the ability to take someone a bit like Willian. Willian's not slow, but you wouldn't say Willian was quick. Do you know what I'm saying? Okay. He's like in that range where he can like.
Is he like
his acceleration is quite good. Like over a short period, he's quite good, but I wouldn't say he's like beating someone in a 100-meter race. It's a different type of.
It's his output though.
That's his output is out of this world.
Yeah,
this season though.
The reason why I bring up the translation
and last season he was good as well. Frankfurt.
The reason why I bring up the translation though, is because everyone always talks about Bundesliga and how apparently it's a terrible league and how you just get free shots every now and again. So if we're going to level at everyone, it's got to be leveled at this guy as well. That'd be my only thing. But from what I've seen, he's a pretty good player.
He's the most realistic though, surely, because Isak's not going to leave this January, and if he did, it would be probably 120, 130, 140 million. Then you look like Rashford's going to come in at 28 on 300k a week. You've also got Dani Olmo, who wants to stay at Barcelona, but I think it'd be a great signing for you or Liverpool. But Omar's a bit of a question mark because unless you die hard watch the Bundesliga, no one really knows what he's like. But then you look at the number side of things, and he ticks all the boxes. He can play anywhere in the front three. He can play as a false nine. He can play out wide, and his output is better than any player in the league right now, other than Salah's. He's got 30 GA already this season. So when you look at it like that, like from 30 million euros according to reports, what's that? 25 million pound?
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying, Henry. If we can get him and another level raise,
well.
Yeah, he's the other guy. Like we need the level raiser. I'm not saying he's not going to be a good player, but 30 million is not the type of money I'm looking to spend on the player that could potentially be filling in for Saka and potentially scoring the goals as a number 9. So I think, he's a player you sign and someone.
Definitely not a 9. He's definitely not a 9.
Exactly.
But who have they got now that's really a 9? Like Kai Havertz is not really a 9.
We don't have a registered 9 at our club, bro.
That's what I'm saying.
Like he primarily plays like down the middle. I've only watched him probably like 2 times.
Doesn't he do his best work on the left though? I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong.
But he does look like a very good player. But the thing is, it's going to be a very expensive deal. I think like somebody said, like 30 million. He's not going for that low. Like a lot of clubs are linked to him. Like, and I know that Terry said that that a couple of reporters that he's spoken to have said that Arsenal look like the team that's in pole position, but it's going to be a very expensive deal to get done.
No, but what prices have been quoted already, Will? Do you know? Have you heard any prices that have been quoted about him? I haven't heard any. So
nah,
one of the reports said 30 million euros, but I don't know how reliable that is.
Yeah, so I saw
more than that. Sure. Unless you've got a buyout clause, it's surely going to be more expensive than that.
Yeah, because I've seen a few things about like his market value being around like 60 M's, and it's the January window in Frankfurt. I believe they're in the top 4 in the Bundesliga right now, and it's a large part because of him. Like, so 30 M's, I think that'd be a fantastic deal if Arsenal were able to get him for that price. But I think it would be a hard deal to get done. But they should do it. Arsenal need to sign somebody. Like this should have been a signing that maybe you guys made in the summer window, right? But you didn't. Now with the Saka injury, I think that they should spend big in January on an attacker. I think that he could possibly be the guy that is able to hold down your attack, and maybe you can let Saka rest more versus possibly bringing him back a little earlier. I think it'd be a good piece of
the report on the report here from on Give Me Sports states that Frankfurt will hold out for up to £50 million for their 25-year-old talisman. Look, again, £50 million, and this is what you got to weigh up, right? And I'm not making this is more of a, it's not really a statement, but If Isak is 150 million now or in the summer, which I think is what Newcastle are quoting, right, Phil? 150 mil?
Damn.
Is he again? This is what you got to ask you. Is he 3 times better? And is he, okay, not that's probably. Is he going to give you 3 times the output that Omar Marmoush is going to give you? That's what Arsenal have to weigh up in that deal. And what I mean by that is for that 150 mil, if you can bring in an Omar Marmoush that starts scoring lots of goals, and then you could also bring in a Nico Williams. I'm using it. I know he wants to go Barca, but look at the financial problems. Let's not act like it's a nailed on deal. If you could probably bring them both in for less money than Isak, and I would argue Omar Marmoush and Nico Williams, as an example, will make Arsenal better than just Alexander Isak. So I think that you have to sometimes, as fans, weigh up how much money you're spending and on who else. Now, if you've got the money for Isak, maybe that's the better. What they shouldn't do is 50 million on Omar Marmoush and then go, we're not buying anybody else in the attack now. That's where, as an Arsenal fan, you'd be fuming. I think you've got to weigh this up, though. And I think Isak's amazing. I think he's a brilliant talent. But is he going to get you 3 times the amount of goals? Someone like the one thing he has got is more Prem proven, as an example. So you know he can do it in the Premier League. There is that risk with Omar Marmoush. But if I had £150 million and I'm an Arsenal fan, I'd much rather go and get Omar Marmoush and say Nico Williams than spend it all on Isak personally. So I don't see it as a bad deal. And then maybe Dan will think that Arsenal have a better squad than Chelsea. We don't know. Maybe that will happen at that point. But I mean, it's a decently the link to a lot of people though, Arsenal. But I feel like Arsenal being used a bit this window. It seems like agent after agent is connecting their player. Today, I think it was PSG have offered Arsenal the chance to sign that Mawani for 77 million, by the way.
Every window, bro.
Who's going to part with 77 million for him? Who?
Mawani and Saliba back in the same team.
You can't have him and Saliba in the same room either, brother. That can't happen. That has got to stop. But
now, we're Arsenal fans. I think we're gold for the transfer window because we buy it on everything. As soon as one player gets linked, we start sending tweets and quotes and doing compilations. So we're amazing during the transfer window period. I mean, we're Links FC during the transfer. Who knows if we might even just end up getting a loan from the Belgium league at the end of it. Like that'd be such an Arsenal thing to do. But we need at least 2 signings. If any Arsenal fan is going to say after the January window we are part of a title race, we need at least.
What? Wait, whoa! Slow your roll. Wait. Sorry.
Well, we're in January now. You can start asking me these questions.
Wait. Sorry, I'm baffled. Wait, hang on. I've sat here for weeks with people trying to force my team into, and you're only just, and if you don't sign 2 people, you're not in it. Now we're not doing that. We're not doing that. Hey, we're not doing that.
On the terrace, anything can happen. But me personally, unless we sign 2 players, we're not part of no.
In phase 8, you can't be waiting. Nah,
bro, I don't do the phase thing, man. Go and win the league in your first season. I don't believe in all that phase rubbish, man. But yeah, like I think we need 2 signings to
I agree.
Try and prevent Liverpool from winning.
You need a midfielder. You need a striker. An actual striker.
Do you think the Cronkies will give him a lot? Like, what are these 2 signings? Let's say you bring in Omar for, let's say, hypothetically 50 million.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think you'll bring in someone else for that sort of fee as well?
I honestly think that you guys.
I think we definitely go big on someone. I think obviously because of Saka injury
this January.
This January. Edu leaving and Saka's injury has kind of back them into the corner. I think we'll go big on one, which is why I don't think we'll buy this Marmoush guy. I think we'll go big. I don't know. Anyway, I'm probably hoping and praying more than I actually think, to be fair. But yeah, I think because of the Edu situation and the Saka situation, we go big. I can see us spending 80+ million on a player this January.
Who's that going to be though? Nico Williams?
I know who I want it to be, but because of Bowen's injury, I don't know if that's going to happen now. But I wanted it to be Kudus personally, but don't see that happening now, man. I don't know.
Yeah, but if you bring in Kudus, I still don't think you're better than Liverpool.
I think we are.
Nah.
Personally.
No way. Their front line is miles better than yours. They've got Gakpo on double digits. They've got Nunes will probably get double digits. They've got Salah, who's the best player in the world right now. They've got Luis Diaz, who's on double digits. And they've got Jota now back from injury. Other than Saka, who's getting double digits? Because Trossard and
Jesus-
Martinelli probably won't even
Jesus.
do it combined.
Jesus is
Hey,
hitting
Jesus.
double digits.
What are we doing?
As long as he can stay fit, he'll hit double digits, mate.
But we
There's
know
no
when we
problem
get to the
there.
end of February, his knee's
Look,
going again.
I'll be more excited about looking the fact that Saka's not available. We need that game changer in our starting lineup. And I if it's Kudus, Jesus and Trossard in the front three or whatever, I'm a lot more confident about that than not doing anything about like having to rely on Wanyeri for the next few months or whatever. So I think we need like I don't want Mbeumo. I don't think he's good enough. I only would take an Mbeumo if we're getting like a top quality 9 as well. But I think we need a big signing and another signing, and these 2 signings this January window first.
Would you be happy if Vlahovic come in?
Yeah, I would be.
At
The
least
sheer
you've got
fact
nine
that
that way.
he's an actual 9, and we
Yeah.
we create a load of chances. I believe he'll score a lot of goals for us.
There's some comments here regarding that. First one from Josh says, Arsenal ain't spending shit, keep dreaming. And Tyrone says, stop the cap. What world-class players have you signed recently?
Declan Rice.
There you go.
I wouldn't say that Declan Rice was world class at West Ham.
Yeah,
Very good
world-class.
player, but not like world class.
Fair enough,
You're
fair
reaching there. You're reaching there.
100 mil.
Yeah,
they did
you guys
spend
have
Carry
made
the
some
second,
players.
bro. You have to reach, bro.
Well, I think Arsenal have made their world class players, but they haven't bought them. Like
Nah,
Saka,
we-
world class.
We don't buy them, we make them. Whose statement was that? Who said that
Huh?
statement? We don't buy world-class players, we make them. Who was that? Who made that statement? One manager. I can't
Liverpool, I
remember.
swear, like Klopp ages ago.
Probably Klopp.
Yeah.
Sounds like a Klopp.
That
Yeah, you're right. Rice isn't
Maybe-
world-class. I was capping, guys. Sorry. Forgive me.
Benjamin here says Terry Mamouche struggled at Stuttgart on loan. They made fun of him in Germany. Mamouche is like Anthony.
Yeah, I'm looking. What Anthony? Oh, Anthony, Man United Anthony. Okay, sorry, I thought my Newcastle Anthony. Because I'm looking at his stats. They're not overly impressive. I mean, this year, yeah, but like previous, he's 25 years old now. This seems to be like more of a hot streak here at the moment for him. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know. I think David knows a little bit more about him, but I
He's
haven't
already
seen
beat
him.
his tally from last season in January. So that's rare.
But that's what I'm saying. It's a hot streak. Like it's not.
If you look at his numbers in terms of like his underlying numbers, lot of 90s, lot of green bars, lot of green
Okay.
text.
Okay.
So the thing is, like,
Run the numbers. I need a
honestly,
Bundesliga guy to tell me, man. All
The
this
problem
numbers
is,
thing, I don't really like
again,
them, man.
is the Bundesliga. The one thing I will say is that in the Bundesliga, you get a lot more opportunity to play a lot more open one-on-one football. And when you go from that to playing for an elite Premier League side, how well does it transfer over? You can be Haaland, and that's great, but you can also be Timo Werner. So it's like,
I think that
I don't know
reflects
about the numbers because like I don't
reflects-
think like
Sorry,
the
go on.
underlying stats and all that stuff. But he passes the eye test, and I like to go off the eye test more than the stats because stats to me could be subjective. I don't get what some of those mean. Like,
wait,
when
sorry.
and the eye test is subjective. Like
Wait, I was going to say,
No.
Will, that makes
No.
around. Like,
No, what I'm saying is stats that I don't understand. So, for example, like I don't even know like which one to use, but like when people use stats and say, "Oh, like this bar is green" or like it was red and stuff, like to me, I'm like, well, like what necessarily determines that? So, yes, the eye test is subjective, but I don't think it's that subjective in terms of we can all watch a certain player, and I think everybody that watches football, a majority of people would say, "Yeah, that guy
No.
looks like a good player."
people
Versus
disagree
just
all the
relying
time.
on just stats.
No, that's not a thing like that.
Kunle just said Declan Rice is world class.
But I took it back. I took it back, Phil. I took it back. I took it back.
You
To be fair,
meant
to be fair.
You meant
I took it back.
And we
Nah, I
all
definitely didn't
disagreed
mean I
with
took it
him.
back.
And he said, no, if he really believed in it, he would say, nah, he's world class. But he didn't. And I think you can merge the two, eye test and stats. You got because you can forget what you see. Like someone does some pretty tricks and flicks, and wow, he dribbled this past that person. You need to be able to see how consistent. Like Grealish looks amazing. Like I think he's a very pretty footballer. But then the one stat everybody says is for the past year he hasn't scored one goal. That stats are really important. I don't care how beautiful he looks when he plays football. So I think you can merge both of these things together.
Yeah, it's also what's the name of that Brentford player? Is it Damsgaard? They said last night that he's in the top 1% for interceptions. I think interception success because obviously the more your teams attack, the more opportunities you get at interception. But obviously the percentage is high. But I kind of knew that stat without knowing it, because every time I watch him, this guy wins those balls. He's in the right place. So hearing that he's in the top 1% doesn't shock me. I think when you've got to challenge your eye test is when you say certain players are a baller, but actually they give the ball away too much. The chance creation is low. The shooting accuracy is low. And so when you start looking at really important, because I do think for an attacker, maybe like a second striker or a number 9 inside forward, if you're like shooting accuracy is like 12%, I think that's really bad. But if your eye test ain't seeing that they miss the target a lot, your eyes are broken. Like in that example, if that makes sense. And sometimes as well, you can look really I tell you who was a really pretty footballer when he first came in the Man United team. Don't laugh, and I'll explain why. His name was Tom Cleverley. And what I mean when I say pretty, what he did, and Man United fans got hoodwinked. We just lost the Champions League final to Barcelona, and he was on loan at Watford, I believe. Came back in the summer, was on preseason tour. We played Barca again, and he had a good game in the middle. But what he did is he kept everything really basic and simple, and did it on a number of Premier League games, high pass completion rate. But it was a case of, I remember watching him, everyone raving. I went, yeah, he doesn't give the ball away. But that's because he's taking 0 risks. He had a nice touch, nice little half turn, quite a small bloke, so a good center of gravity. But it was like he wasn't doing anything. But the eye test was like, oh, do you see that little turn? Do you see a little pirouette? And I'm like, yeah, but what's he doing? He was just doing very little. And again, and I think for me, the eye test is important. But the eye test for me is more about, do I enjoy watching someone play as an example? And for me, again, it's I think you've got to look at both of these things. I always love the thing that people say a lot now, I watch football with my eyes. I'm like, bro, but some people have got bad vision. Do you know what I mean? So you got to have a combination of the two when it comes to, and you know why you've got to have a combination of the two? Because every single top coach in the world that you rate right now, every single top scout that you like right now, because they pick players that you like, they use their eyes, but they all use numbers to underlie it as well. Pep, who all these guys are idolized, like eye test merchants, Pep is like their god, right? He uses numbers. So to say that numbers aren't important, I always think that's a cop-out for when there's something you claim can be disproven. People say, I just watch with my eyes. That's what I don't like about it. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, people use it as a cop-out through having a conversation about a player they like. But thanks for that comment. There's another chat comment here that says he's got the top speed in the Bundesliga this season. Oh.
Yeah, I don't know who said he wasn't fast, by the way. This bloke's rapid. I actually disagree with what a lot of people have said about Marmoush. Like this, he's rapid. He's not a 1v1 winner.
Is he rapid, though?
Yeah, he's rapid. Yeah, he is. He's rapid. Honestly, there was a goal earlier on this season. Burns Upamecano, like absolutely dusts him, holds him up physically as well. Doesn't matter. Upamecano is still a quick centre back. Gets away from him with ease on the halfway line. Scores a fantastic goal. His shooting is like electric. The way the ball leaves his foot is just unbelievable. He's got set pieces in his locker. He takes corners. Him and Ekatike this season have been unbelievable together. Everyone's casting judgment. I don't think anyone's watched this guy play football. This is a fantastic player. I was having a conversation with Judge Mo about.
Wait, did anyone say anything negative about him?
Yeah, they did. But people are honestly,
talking about everyone else.
You go back and listen to what the panel have been saying. I absolutely disagree with 90. Like,
okay, what did we say?
Comparison.
Yeah, like what do you disagree with?
No.
Willian comparison.
No.
We never said anything about his game.
Numbers and
I feel like Dan's been reading since we were talking about it.
Dan, what's been going on?
Dan 100% reading on like why start
getting angry.
Because where was this energy when it was first brought up?
Here listening, waiting for my moment to speak.
Where was this scouting when it was first brought up, Dan? Like, what's
because I thought I'll let you all speak. I hear what you got to say because I know for a fact I've watched Omar Marmoush this season and I just want to hear what people have to say about him. I've had long discussions about him. I was speaking about him on LB's show a few weeks ago. I was speaking to Judge Mo. I watch the Bundesliga highlight show every week. It's on Sky, so it's just there. This is a fantastic
You've never seen 90 minutes of him, basically.
What? No, I don't need to tell you that actually in terms of what this player is, the comparisons that I've heard are just away from...
I didn't say he plays like Willian.
You said he wasn't quick. You said what you said, David, was he's not slow, but he's not fast.
No. What I said
was he's not slow, but he's not fast.
I'm not calling
That's what you said. This guy's rapid. Everything about this guy is agile, sharp.
I knew what David meant, though. I knew what David meant.
Yeah, but he's definitely not rapid. You know what rapid looks like, Dad? Rapid is Theo Walcott. That's rapid, bro. He's not rapid, bro.
He's not Carl Walker, bro. He's not Carl Walker. I've seen it with my own eyes.
Dad, you just called him rapid. That's like
rapid
sprint.
Yeah, but do you know what? Do you know what he has got? I think this is the problem. I remember having a debate with Lee Gunner. We both argued over finishing and goal scoring. I think if you're a good finisher, I just see him as this. I kind of categorize him as the same thing. He explained they were different. What he's very good at, if you watch enough footage of him, it's that first 10 yards. That first 10 yards, he's very quick. And that's so, but that
he dusts players over a long distance.
I know he does.
Dan's not having it.
Dan, let me finish.
You lot are all laughing, but
Dan, I agree. He's very quick. What we're arguing over here is everyone's definition of rapid. Is he as fast over 100 meters as Carl Walker at his pomp? No, but that's because you two are viewing rapid.
That's what rapid is, Dan.
He is still. Yeah, but he's still very, very quick. Again, if you're only rapid,
you know what? Carl Walker would finish that game and go, "That was a test today. That guy's quick."
Right now, he finished that game.
No, today, if Marmoush played Carl Walker right now, Walker wouldn't.
But I tell you what, he can do very well with his speed because of the first 10 yards. He doesn't appear with the. I've watched a couple of games. Obviously, I've watched a lot of footage of him in the last couple of days when looking at this. Martinelli, it's like Rashford similar. I'm gonna knock it past the man and run. Right, it's tap and go. What this guy can do is he can go left, go right, do a skill, do a drag back or a step over or a little pirouette, and then he can accelerate past the man to the right, and then he literally can change direction on sixpence and keep the speed going. That
he has a football brain, unlike Martin.
Yeah, that's why when I just think at £50 million. All deals are a gamble. I think this just could be a very good bit of business for Arsenal. He just looks, and I know he's a little bit older, but listen, Jamie Vardy didn't even get into the Prem until he was 25. Not everybody has to be an 18-year-old starlet to become I just think there's a player in it. And at 50 million, I don't feel like it's a big risk.
What do Arsenal have to lose? That's the main thing. Like, you don't have anything to lose. Like, he can't hurt your attack. Like, it can only get better. So just do it.
He looks better than Mudryk.
Do you know who else was quick over 10 yards? Do you know who else was really quick over 10 yards? Especially his first couple of steps? Willian. That's what I'm going to say. I'm not saying...
I don't know what you're doing with this Willian.
Don't trigger Dan, Dave.
Because my point
I don't know what you're doing, though. They're completely different players.
I'm not saying... I'm
talking about speed, bro.
This is... No. Willian would shift the ball, shift direction 10 yards. I get what you're saying, right? This Marmoush isn't that player. This Marmoush is not the same type of player as Willian.
I'm not saying he's like Willian. That's not what I'm saying. I'm literally just saying over. I'm talking about the speed because Willian.
This is Marmoush over 40-yard sprint would leave Willian. This guy's fast.
But so again,
he scores goals.
And I know everyone's faster than you, but that doesn't mean they're rapid.
And over long distances. 40, 50-yard sprints in transition. This guy is rapid.
I'm going to give you his FIFA stats here just because I'm going to do it for the laugh. His acceleration is 87. Is there another one that's about speed on here?
91.
What is he rated this season?
Sprint speed is 91. So
what's his rating, Terry, overall this season?
His rating overall is 82. Potential is 85, according to this. I want to ask you guys a question, though, because I don't take computer games too seriously. How accurate typically are the likes of FIFA and Football Manager at getting sort of the speed and those types of
shocking? Most centre backs are rated so slow.
Are they bad, are they? Okay,
yeah,
cool.
Terrible.
I don't know. I've only just started playing the game again after all these years, and I have no idea how accurate. Because I played against him on FIFA the other day, and he ran past me so quickly. I thought it was Usain Bolt, bruv. I couldn't believe how fast he was. But again, I would never use a computer game as a player. But yeah, never use computer games, people. Never.
Yeah. So to be fair to Dan, I just Googled, is Marmoush fast? And the Bundesliga website is calling him rapid. So, you know what I'm saying? Like to be fair, Marmoush has showcased his rapid nature. So that's where the word coming from.
Read the article. Okay, cool.
No,
I'm joking, Dad. Chill out. Flip it out, Dad. Why?
Because
I know we've been each other for a while, bro.
You've got no evidence to back it up. What you're saying, this guy is so quick. I don't know if he's Carl Walker.
Hey, Dan, to be fair,
Carl Walker, Van der Ven, they're probably clocking like close. I don't know what they're clocking, but probably close to like 40 kilometers an hour or something.
Okay, so the rule,
right?
Terry, the rules on the terrace is don't speak to Nobbins about Foden. Don't speak to Dan about speed when it comes to Marmoush. Those are the final rules.
This is interesting. So the fastest that Kyle Walker has ever been clocked sprinting on a football pitch is 37 kilometers per hour. The top speed that Marmoush has ever got to is 35.8. So you're talking about there's a difference there. But the average speed of Kyle Walker over the last 5 years has been 35.7. So again, he's quicker, but over like a 30, how much you sprint generally? 30, 40 yards. Over 30, 40 yards, there isn't a great deal of difference. The one question is, and I'd have to watch him more for this, is how fast is he with the ball at his feet? Because no one's faster than somebody without the ball. And he looks very quick with the ball at his feet, and he looks skillful. So I think it could be a good little deal. This comment here disagrees, though. This says, watch Marmoush turn out to be the Egyptian Shamak. Kiss my teeth. Well, you never know. You never know with transfers. That's why they're all risky. Xerxes was bought using stats, but he is crap. It's true. At the same time, though, it's about the one thing about Marmoush, which I think is a fair challenge, and if your opinion is as good as he looks at Stuttgart, it won't translate to the Prem. That's fair. I think that's a fair argument to have. Some players don't translate very well. We've seen Diego Forlan struggle in England, become top goal scorer
Got him on Falcao as well.
in La Liga. This happens. So that's a fair comment, my friend. Marmoush reminds me of at City.
Nah.
No, I don't see that at all.
He was crap at City. So
I'll be honest. If you look at Marmoush, I see a blend of Nani and probably because of his appearance with his tape around his boots and Anthony Gordon. They're the two type of players I would find a blend in.
Anthony Gordon's shit though.
No, he ain't.
No, I did that for Phil. That was to try and wind Phil up, but then I realized Phil weren't on camera, so it didn't work.
Oh. He's got the full fastest speed ever clocked in the Bundesliga.
Wow.
Yeah, he's cool.
All right, Dan, he's flipping rapid, yeah? So you've answered my question. I asked the question.
You're going to have these discussions.
Dan, I asked the question.
That's all fast this season. Sorry, not everyone.
In my defense, I asked, is he fast? I asked.
No,
and
again,
you've answered.
Yeah, okay.
I'm not sure. Again, I'm not sure how you want to measure metrics. But running in a straight line really quick.
David.
I'm just saying.
Let's get to some of these super chats, guys. I do want to thank you, Arsenal. You beat Brentford. Going to keep an eye on the teams around us. This is Joshua. He's a United fan. Y'all talking about signings. I just want 40 points because I don't want to be going to the Hawthorns. Yeah, look, Man United. I'll say this with a fair amount of. We're not getting relegated. Let's just slow down. I have loved all the articles. I've been reading them and I've been screenshotting them all, and I've been saving everything and documenting it all because it's going to be fun when we turn this round.
I moved this faster than Coleman.
Wow. But in the past 10 years, you did bring in world-class players. What happened now? So again, there's a difference, AMT, between us signing world-class players. I always said, and this is where it's hard to have these conversations, AMT, because you've been watching my show for a number of years, so you've heard me say this. You already know the answer to this. It didn't matter who we signed before. We haven't signed bum after bum after bum. We've just signed good players, and we've put them into a club that's a combination of toxic with no direction, no clear identity of how to play football, and we've misprofiled a lot of people. They're not bad players. We just shouldn't have signed some of them. That doesn't deter away from being attractive for them. They're two separate conversations, my friend. But thank you for the super chat, bro. Marmoush would be great for United on the left 10. Maybe I'd take what I've seen of him. I'd like him at Man United. He looks great. Terry, you always talk about not buying players for a manager. We're not. Again, I have to stop you straight away. This isn't about buying them for Ruben. If it turns out we're only buying them for Ruben, and when Ruben leaves, we're going to change direction again, then I'm just. If that's the case, I'm against everything Ineos are doing. I'm against it all. We need to be building a squad that lives on beyond this manager, like we're seeing with Slot do at Liverpool, like what Chelsea are building, like what Arsenal are building, like at City, like what Real Madrid have been doing for decades. You just go from one manager, head coach to the next. If we're not doing that, we've got a problem. However, if we're going to produce a club that has the style of football that Amorim is accustomed to, you could argue every signing's for him. But it's as long as the next manager can also pick up where he left off, it doesn't matter. So yeah, my friend, I get your point, but it's not about Amorim. It's about the club having its own identity. Slaughter said it himself this season. I have not changed the style of football. There's a few adaptations and a new voice. That is it. And that is what top clubs do and have been doing for many, many years. And that's what I hope Man United are doing. Otherwise, it's a rebuild every 3, 4, 5 years when a manager leaves, and there's no sustainability in that. It was fine 30, 40 years ago when every fucker was doing it because they were all going through that process. But the top clubs don't do it anymore. So yeah, that's thank you. Arsenal fan here, but the UFC match, I say the Man United match between us, the UFC match between us and Newcastle scares me more than most games. I see injuries. Also, everyone has written them off. But that midfield plus Isak may have
League Cup match.
Oh, is it the League Cup match? Oh, the use. Yeah, I don't know you at UFC. I really didn't. I thought you first of all
meant Page is going to get in or something, or flipping.
You know, I thought you meant Man United and missed off the M. To be honest, I didn't read that as EFL, UFC and EFL. I know I'm dyslexic, but I can't do the connection on that one, Jay. But thank you for the super chat, brother. I appreciate that. Obviously, some massive games this weekend. First of which, we're going to talk about Man United and talk about Man United and Liverpool in a moment. But Dan's gone. Oh, he's there. Chelsea, 3 games without a victory. It's gone a little bit pear-shaped the last few weeks. Do you think we'll bounce back this weekend?
I hope so. I didn't see this coming. I can't lie. I think Meresca's kind of put us in a position where we've not been set up well enough to win the games of football that have been in front of us, to be honest with you. I just didn't see this coming. So we have to. We got Palace away, tough fixture. It was tough last season. I'm not sure what Meresca's going to do with the side, to be honest with you, because I think he's found probably in the last couple of games that he can't trust a couple of players in this squad. So I'm not sure we'll see them again.
Do you think Jackson will come back in?
Yeah, I think he will. I'll be honest, the Nkunku experiment at 9 has just been ridiculous. I just don't understand why Meresca has insisted playing Nkunku as a 9, or and seeing him as a 9 when he said himself he doesn't actually think he is a 9. I just don't understand that.
Do you think he's overthinking it a bit with his team selection? Because you had I think you won something like 7 out of 8 games. Then you went into, what was it, the one before the Fulham game, which would have been the Everton game. Then he dropped Jackson, didn't he? Started on Nkunku. Then he brought Jackson on in like the 80th minute.
Who?
Whatever his fucking name is, you know what I'm talking about?
Conkers.
Conkers.
Right, which you know what I'm talking about.
Are you speaking French? What's going on here?
You brought him in, right? And you've not won a game since, have you?
No, we haven't. Look, I don't know. Jackson's not been fantastic. I actually think Jackson scored a great goal against Villa, and since then, I don't think he's been fantastic. I think even in that Villa game, I think he just looked a little bit off it. And then since then, I just think he looks more like the player we saw last season. So I think actually he's probably turned to Nkunku to give him one last chance. And Nkunku's body language every time he steps on the pitch as a 9 has just been a joke. It's not interesting.
When you said earlier, you said you didn't see this type of form coming. What did you mean by that?
Well, I thought Meresca had tried a couple of things earlier on in the season. They didn't work. He fixed it pretty quickly, and I thought we were kicking on. I think in the last couple of games, I think Henry's right. I think he thought too much. I think there's a little bit of meddling, and I think there's some experiments going on with a couple of players that I don't think are necessary. Disasi played right back, and he obviously comes into the sort of a 3 when we're in possession. I just think there are players on that pitch, on the subs bench, that could have been playing instead of him, and he ultimately was so impactful in Chelsea losing that game against Ipswich.
I saw this coming, Dan.
Nah, why? What did you see?
So did I.
Yeah, and this is the thing, and this is what. Hold on, let me explain.
Let me explain. Because go on then. Because second, just before you explain, right? I'll tell you why I didn't see it coming, because I feel like I should say that. I didn't see it coming because against Brentford and against a couple of other teams before that, the tactics and the instructions that the players had were completely different to the last 3 games that we've had. That's why I didn't see it coming.
Yeah, fair enough. Maybe you didn't see it. I wouldn't say necessarily I saw it coming right now, but in terms of the overall look of Chelsea as a season, I've been trying to say everyone's getting a little bit too excited about how they've started the season and where they're at, and our rebuild is only this amount of time in, and we're already hit. There was all sorts of different narratives. I was like, guys, can't you just enjoy your football? You're in the running with the title. Just enjoy yourself like week to week. But everyone just got too excited and thought they're back and all these different things. I saw this because Chelsea players, the squad hasn't shown us that they're now a squad that can be relied upon. Yes, they've had different players do good things for bits and pieces, but there's no body of work to say that these players can be relied upon for a duration of time, which is why I say the Chelsea thing is a time-to-time thing. Meresca showed us last season that second half of the season, he kind of overthinks a little bit, which is why I was kind of waiting until that period to see that I didn't think it'd happen now, maybe, but I thought they would have a tough period where Meresca and these young players are going to be tested, and there's no real leaders in the group to be like rally them together because when you're coasting off a good run, you're coasting, innit? Because they don't need to be any leaders. You're like, oh, this guy's playing well, that guy's playing well, cool. But when you go through some adversity, that's when you're going to miss the big names, the players of experience, the leaders. That's when we're going to see, can these Chelsea players really grow from boys to men like the fan base really thought they had?
Can I just add to that before you go? Just to add to that, when we were talking about you guys being competing for the title, I understand the whole thing about, oh, we're not competing. I saw the interview with Madueke when they asked him, are you competing for the title? He goes, no, what's that? What's competing for the title? Like, we can't see the Premier League table. Exactly. We can't see the Premier League table. I just think that seeped into the dressing room where it gave people the excuse of saying, well, we're not competing. We're just out here, just having great time and playing football. Joining on to what Kunle was saying was when the going's good, it's good. But when there's some adversity, we're not competing. So
I personally think it's the other way around. I think everyone getting on our back saying you are in a title race is more likely have got to the players than everyone else saying we're not in the title race.
Love it.
Personally, if I genuinely believe I'm not in one, but every time I play a football game, every time I make a bad pass, the fans are shouting at me going, why are you not doing this? We need to score a goal because we're in a title race.
But then when you
that's going to put more pressure on you as a player than everyone going, you're not in the title race regardless.
When you make a mistake, or because you got a young squad,
playing for Chelsea Football Club, no,
and you got players who lack discipline,
that's what I'm saying. It's called playing for Chelsea Football Club. So you play with pressure. I'm hyping your team here, bro. Relax.
It gives you an excuse. It gives you an excuse when your own manager is saying we're not in the title race. It gives you an excuse for, instead of aiming for a star, to go for the B. And sometimes it's okay to be B.
What I found funny about that is that, again, behind again, we were literally talking about process before the show started.
Yes.
The jump from where we were, and this is why I thought this was going to happen. The jump of going from where we were last year to where people thought for some reason we were this year requires a process. That ain't happening in 12 months. It's not.
Hey Phil, you need to stop addressing David. It's Dan we need, bro. It's Dan.
It's not going to happen. And literally, I was sat here with Dan and CB, and we were talking about before Everton and before Fulham, and CB was just like, "Oh, we're going to win those games. Simple, done."
No, I know you're going to the wide.
They're not gimme games.
Yeah, Everton, I know, but you're going to a wider point. I'm saying you are where you are. You already there. Like whether you plan to be there or not, you were already there by giving yourself the excuse of not competing.
Yeah, I feel like the conversation, not this one, but about in the title race or out of the title race. Whenever you ask a question, the answer wasn't to that question. The answer was, but I don't think we're going to win it.
Yeah.
And that was never it. If you think about it as a boxer, every few months, every few years, when a boxer's on the come up, there's a time where you've got to go from the local fights to the national fights, and then maybe the national fights to the European fights, and then the European fights to the world fights. Sometimes the timing's off and you jump up a little too early, or the person you're fighting is more experienced and you lose. But until you start testing yourself at that next level, you don't know where you are. And I think that Chelsea being tested in a title race environment is only good for them. I understand that idiots online will go too far with it and over banter. Rivals will always give you a bit of stick, but you need to be tested in that way. And maybe the wobble has happened because the pressure got on top a little bit. But as long as that is managed right by the club, by the head coach, by the senior players, It's what will make you stronger next time round because you'll understand what it feels like. And I know that Standard FC exists, but Standard FC exists in a weird way. I get Will and all of these little Real Madristas, they get it. They've been in title races pretty much every single season since they've all been alive. So they don't need to worry about processes and getting back to that point. They've never had a fall off. And one of the things I'd love to see happen, not because I want to see Real Madrid do bad, I would love to see Madrid go through like a 10-year period like United or Arsenal have done, just so that when they're rebuilding, they all go, oh, fucking hell, this is why. Because Real Madrid are
need that.
You know them rich people that say, pull yourself up by the bootstraps. Everybody's got 24 hours in a day. They don't understand that not everyone has the same 24 hours in a day when your club has fallen off, right? For right or wrong reason, right? But all jokes aside.
The 2020-2021 season, to be fair. I've seen pain.
Yeah. There's a great line from a British sitcom where a character called Boise turns around to Del Boy and Rodney and says, called Only Fools and Horses, and says, how's your business? You went really struggling this year. Me and the wife only got 1 week in Barbados, not 2. Do you know what I mean? It's one of them ones for you guys. But yeah, look, I think this has been good for Chelsea. I know it's not good in the moment, but I think this is part of what is going to make you a team that by the end of this season, I think most football fans, when they're being honest and truthful, will say this team is at title challenging level, pretty much. And next season, with a bit more additions, Chelsea are going to be very, very dangerous. You almost need these. Look, sometimes you go through these moments and you come out on top and you win. It's happened before. Like Leicester's a great example. No one expected it. They kept on getting better and better. They won the league. But typically speaking, when a team like yours is on the come up, these experiences are needed to make you battle hardened to actually go on and be more consistent and win things. So I think in the short term, there's banter to be had. There's criticism to be had. I think the worst thing Chelsea fans can do is turn on the manager, turn on the players and start losing their minds. Constructive criticism. Yeah, constructive criticism is needed. In terms of this game, though, they're away at Crystal Palace. How do you see it going, Will?
They should win, but I mean, with the form that they're on, I'm not sure. Yeah, see, the thing is, I think Chelsea have one of the most talented squads, and I think on paper, right, this is a game that they should be getting 3 points, right? They should be, in my opinion, winning like 3-1 because we all know that their back line is going to make mistakes more than likely. Like their defenders and their goalkeeper is just not that good. I think we have to have a conversation about like Levi Colwell. I feel like he gets away with a lot.
What conversation would you like to have, Will? Tell us.
Say it again?
What conversation would you like to have about him, Will? Tell us, please.
I feel like he doesn't get talked about the same way that Disasi and Badia Shield do. And I don't necessarily...
Why do you believe he should get talked about like that?
He's behind.
No.
This is Will's segment, David. Don't interrupt.
I'm not saying that he's as bad as they are. I think that they are awful. But I don't think Levi Colwell is good either. I think he's a very average defender. I guess we could say like English tax, right? And he's from...
You say he's that one season in Brighton, he's enjoying that tax a lot.
Yeah, like... What I thought Levi Colwell was going to be,
by the way,
he hasn't developed.
So what were people basing how good he is on then if he didn't play that much for Brighton?
I think he had a couple of good games.
High potential for a while.
Yeah.
Potential. Okay.
But there's a rashness to Levi Colwell where he doesn't think, and certain situations we've seen it this season, especially against Liverpool. There's a panic that sets into his game.
Yeah, but so the thing is, Dan, I remember. Not on this channel, but on I forget what channel it was. It was before the season. I was arguing with a Chelsea fan because I was saying that your best center back is Fofana, but he was saying that it was Levi Colwell, and I thought like again, I thought Colwell was going to develop into a very good center back, but it's like you guys have nobody that gives you stability, especially with Fofana now being out, which it seems like he's always injured nowadays. But you don't have any defender that I think can play the style of football that Meresca wants. And I know that we were just talking about the title race. I think that we all know how good your midfield and attack is. But the reason why I don't think anybody believes that Chelsea would win a title, at least this season, was because of your back line, right? I think your fullbacks are fine, but then it's like the middle of your defense, the center backs and the goalkeeper. It's just not good, like at all. And I think that is a massive hole that Chelsea have to address in these next few transfer windows. And not with young players. You should go out there and get experienced defenders, not like a 21-year-old that has good potential. You need somebody that's like mid-20s, maybe closer to 30, that's already battle tested, and then you guys can then talk about, let's say, like actually going on to win a title. But I think the game against Palace, Chelsea should win. It's like they have like all that firepower. Their midfield should be able to control the game, right? You got Cole Palmer, Sancho, like Neto, Nicholas Jackson. These guys should be scoring against.
Wait, should we save the Sancho talk till May, guys? I don't mind.
What's wrong with Sancho?
We can start it, or should we save it till May? Because Terry, I told you by the end of this season, Chelsea fans are going to be upset about Sancho the way that Man United fans were.
He passed the eye test though.
He has some little cameos, 2-3 games, and they're like, "Oh, thanks for the signing, Man United, all this rubbish." And then, trust me, by the end of the year, they go complain. What?
He only cost 25 million. So I don't understand why we'd be that disappointed if he's at this level for the rest
you'll
of
be
the
that
season.
Disappointed because you expected him to be a world beater the way you guys were propping him at the first time.
I think that's where Sancho's been decent this season. I think he's been good. I think he looks like a different player to what we look like.
Like, where's it coming from?
Right. I'm so
Has
confused.
Sancho been bad, in your opinion?
No, this is what I'm saying. Sancho has done what he does. He has a few good weeks. People start getting excited saying he's the guy. And then we ain't seen him for the last 3 games.
Wow.
Has he played well in the last 3 games?
For the last 3 games.
In the last 3 games, he's not played well.
Yeah, but like a majority of their squad hasn't played.
No, but
well.
I'm letting you know that this is going to be a trend that continues because this is what Sancho does when he gets to England. He can't cope when the man them are around him. He's on 350 racks a week and he's surrounded by the boys. He loses himself after he has a few good weeks. He's proven it. Until, very good player. Hey, Will. Until he proves me wrong, where he does something different to that, I'm gonna.
Yeah, but he's been good for Chelsea so far.
I think what do you mean so far? How many good games has he had? 5?
5 or 6, maybe getting closer to 8, 9. Like he's been all right.
18. Okay, cool. He's done all right, man. Let's see.
He hasn't played all 18 games.
He hasn't played that many.
No, but okay. So have Chelsea? Okay, how many games has he been available this season?
He's played 13 games for Chelsea in the league so far,
and 5 of them.
I would say 2/3 of his games have been good enough.
No. I'm saying, Dan, I'm excited that you're getting behind him and you're confidently backing him because at the end of the season,
he's given us reason. Yeah, but Kunle, he's given us reason to. It's almost like you're suggesting that we have no reason to.
Dan, I specifically said, do you want to discuss him now or in May?
I'll discuss him now and in May. I've got no issue with it. I think he's been good enough, especially if we get him for the price we're likely going to get him for. I think he's absolutely fine.
So you're basing that on the price or his actual quality?
Price, his attitude. I think he's applied himself really well. Yeah, I do. I think a lot of people had question marks about Jadon Sancho, and I think he's applied himself to Chelsea's project really, really well.
Fair enough. I'll remind you, Maida.
I'll take him over Martinelli, that's for sure.
What are you? It's almost like you're expecting him to do
nothing, bro. That ain't nothing to shout about.
Viewers, give us your predictions for the Palace versus Chelsea game, please, in the live chat, or if you're watching the playback in the comments section below. Another interesting game this weekend. I forgot it was on until I just looked at the fixtures. Tottenham host Newcastle. Phil, you're in great form. Was it 5 wins on the bounce, no goals conceded? And it's back-to-back games at the 2 pound-for-pound worst teams in England.
No, it was, look, at the end of the day, I think we went to Man United, still Old Trafford, still good players. We had a professional performance I was pleased with. Now we've got Tottenham. Difference with Tottenham, obviously, they got running power, pace. Obviously, they'll have the home crowd as well. So definitely expecting... like it's going to be a challenging time for us. We've gained our momentum, performance and results coming together for us. Our needle movers, Gordon, Isak, Bruno are performing. We've got back our intensity. Eddie Howe, credit to him, made a tactical change of Tonali in the 6, and that's just made things work for us really, really well. And actually, the benefit of actually playing like 2 games a week now because of the Christmas period, when you're kind of in good form and you're winning, you want that next game to happen. And so that's what's been happening for us. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, we're going to Tottenham in good form, but I think Joe Linton said it, like we've got that confidence, but we want to protect that confidence. And so, yeah, that's what we're kind of aiming to do when we go to Spurs.
I'll be honest. I am not confident about this one bit. I think if Newcastle sit back and counter us, this could be 3, 4, or 5. If they come out and play against us, I think it will be a lot more of an open game. And we've just found out we've got Destiny Doggy, who's going to miss 4 to 6 weeks. And the only player we've been linked to this window so far is Sam Johnston from Wolves. So
big sign of
I'm not expecting a huge amount.
International.
Sorry?
Don't you have regular done?
Oh, yeah. The guy that can't play out from the back, putting him into a team that plays out from the back.
I think Ben Godfrey. I think you're going to get Ben Godfrey. He's leaving Atlanta. I think.
What happened to Tanganga? Is he still at your club?
Ben Godfrey.
Nah, he's at
I'd rather
Tanganga.
He's at
Ben fucking Godfrey couldn't even get a game at Everton. Atalanta looked at him for 5 minutes, and he's now leaving. Like, I'd rather play an 18-year-old Archie Gray there and wait for Romero and Van de Ven to come out. But we've got 3. I think it could be 3 Pastings. We got Newcastle, Liverpool, and Arsenal. Like,
how has Jed Spence become your best fullback? How's that happened?
Because of well,
hey, Jed Spence is good, man. Don't do that. Jed Spence is a good player. He's a good player.
I hear it, but man I say he was on loan to some French team last.
He went on loan to flipping.
Was it like Lorient? No, Reigns, I think.
Yeah, whatever they're called. He went
their star left back.
He went to Italy or somewhere, but like. I don't know what back 4 we're going to play because we've got no Romero, Van de Ven. Dragusin's the only fit centre-back we've got. We've got no Ben Davies. We've got no Destiny Doggy. We've got no Vicario. We're stuck with Bissouma, who the guy just needs to leave his football club. And now now the players are getting on, fans are getting on Solanke's back. And like, I'm thinking like Solanke's one of the Solanke, Kulusevski, and Maddison to a degree have been our better performers this season. We should be getting on players like flipping Bissouma and Sarr that have been absolutely horrendous for months. And if Newcastle score in the first 15 minutes to 20 minutes, which I expect they will do, that stadium's going to be an absolute cesspit. And fans are still coming out defending Ange Postecoglou. We're going to look. I don't think we'll be that much of a threat. Like, don't get me wrong, we'll have a lot of the possession against Newcastle, but the form Isak's in, the form that Bruno's in. Tonali got a couple of goals recently as well. Gordon, if he puts some of the crosses in that he's done recently.
Are your centre backs fit? Because I keep on hearing that either they're fit or they're not fit.
Well, Van de Ven was supposed to be back mid-December. He's still not back. And Romero, he's the only player I know in the history of football to get injured during a fourth turn. So he was supposed to be back for the Liverpool game, which was 3 games ago. And if we're playing Dragusin and Archie Gray up against Isak, listen, like, it's going to be a wrap. If we've got Van de Ven and Romero back, I'm a lot more confident.
You're going to get... Listen, I'll be honest with you. I don't even want to be disrespectful. I think Newcastle will steamroll you. You've got more legs in the middle. Yeah, I think they're going to steamroll you. I mean, what helped Man United is we made the change. When Mainu came in, we kind of stopped Newcastle a lot more. They were 2-0 up, so I didn't need to push as much, which is absolutely fair. But we actually had 10 shots to their 1 from that point. And in truth, I would have loved to have seen what would have happened. And I'm talking about testing my club. If Maguire's header goes in, what levels could have Newcastle gone up? It could have changed it as an example. I just feel with the way Spurs play and the openness, I just look at what Isak and Gordon and the space they're going to have to run into. They scored 2 against us and we weren't affording them that amount of space other than the middle because we had no legs. As soon as we put the legs in the middle, it was harder for them. With Spurs, man, are so open. And that, I'm not even trying to point score. I'm just looking at a team that played us last. Man United are awful as well. Anyone can win any match of football in the Premier League. I struggle to find the legitimate argument for why Spurs win, other than the football gods or Newcastle miss loads of chances. Because what you might do is score because you attack very well. So like you're a goal threat, 100%.
Yeah, I think we will score.
But and you will. I feel like it's going to be one of the games where you lose 3-1, 4-1, 3-1, maybe 4-2. You'll score some goals, but I think Newcastle are winning, mate. Newcastle are going to win, in my 100%. View.
Did any of you see the last 30 minutes against Wolves? They took off Kunle. I think they had Stradlarsson, whatever his name is, up front, and the only threat they had was him. The finish, by the way, was absolutely ridiculous. But if a team like Wolves, okay, don't get me wrong, they've got a new manager in.
Spurs games for 90 minutes, bro.
Sorry? No, but you must have seen the highlights or something.
Okay,
Don't pay him any mind. Don't pay him any mind.
The last 30 minutes of that game, we had one shot or two shots. We had 0 on target the second half against fucking Wolves. Right, we're not playing Liverpool. We're playing Wolves, and our front line. We've got wide players who can't beat their man in Timo Werner and Johnson. We're putting all of our eggs in one on Heung-min Son, who at the moment is not the Son of when he was with primary Kane. And then we've got Dominic Solanke so isolated up front and we can't create chances. And then the manager doesn't adapt anything to any team he's playing. And we're coming up against, in my opinion, right now, probably the fourth best midfield of Tonali, Bruno, and Joelinton, who have control games, who have got pace and power in Joelinton, have got someone who can just sweep up in Tonali. Not to mention what Bruno can do. I look at us and think we're probably going to play, because Bentancur's bans, he's done his ban now. It's probably going to be Sarr, Bentancur, and Kulusevski. Now, the only one who can get in the ball in that three and pick a pass is Kulusevski. Well, straight away, Tonali's going to go into him in the first 5 minutes. And then I'm thinking all of our creativity then goes down to Maddison. And when he gets overrun, who are we looking at? And then we go into the fucking January transfer window, and the first player we get linked to is a goalkeeper who's Sam Johnston, who's conceded something like 50 poxy goals at Wolves. Fraser Forster, we don't need to bring another goalkeeper in. Fraser Forster has done more than enough to say that when Vicario comes back, he's a good enough backup goalkeeper. We should be looking at bringing in a midfielder who can actually defend a midfield and centre-backs. It's a disgrace. And now Kulusevski's being linked with AC Milan, because Zlatan's now their director of football, and there's all these Swedish connections going on. I'll tell you now, if they come in and we let him go, I'm at the point now where just fold the football club. If we let our best player go to AC Milan, like who financially, don't get me wrong, they're a miles bigger football club than us, but financially they can't.
Only by a little bit. Only
only the 6 or 7 Champions Leagues, whatever it is. But if we let him go,
sorry, Terry, let them have it.
If Kulusevski goes to AC Milan, I'm thinking, right, who on earth are we going to build our team around? There's reports coming out that we're not going to keep Timo Werner. Well, fucking hell, the guy's absolutely dreadful. I don't know why I would want to keep him. We need this window to get to a point where the top 3 are 15 signings. That's how many we need.
Damn.
And apparently that Daniel Levy wants to get us back into the Champions League.
And why would any good player join Tottenham?
Precisely. Like, all jokes aside, I had this argument with.
What happened to Happy New Year, Henry? Man, we were all like on high spirits and.
Life of a Spurs fan is the second day.
January the 2nd, man.
Yeah,
the game. My team's in the mud, but at least I have loads of happy memories. Like, I have those memories. He don't even have the memories.
What do you look back on?
One day Ramos.
My favourite player to Spurs in the Premier League, Gareth Bale, who was absolutely ridiculous, joins Real Madrid and in a bad season still wins 2 trophies. That's more than we've done in 20 years.
So it's like an amazing player, very underrated.
Hang on, I've noticed when about trophies, Phil went very quiet.
I think
checking his messages.
I was like, sheesh. But I just think I know Henry. Everyone's got their own kind of. When your back's against, and I said it, I can't remember who the last person said this on the show. When your back's against the wall, I wouldn't. Me personally, if I was in your position, and I have been in your position, I would never be this open about like how bad my team is, and I feel like
we love it.
Like, and I wouldn't like
let him go.
Because it seeps into the. I think these things I've seen it so many times. These things seep into the stadium. Yes, you know your team is bad. You gotta. It happened. We just played Man United. Let the players and then the commentators who Gary Neville and all those guys. You know, I know Terry was speaking earlier about how the media is owned by Liverpool. It's owned by Man United, and then. You know, they're all kind of, it felt like a funeral parlor for Man United. Oh, look how bad they are. And the stadium is like already.
He's not lying, though, is he?
I'm not saying to lie. Terry, and others have been in combat sports. If someone hits you, and it hurts. You're not gonna go in the ring. Oh, mate, that hurt whilst you're having a fight. You know,
but Henry's not in a combat sport.
I'm not being literal, Dan. You know what metaphors are, right? And analogies, right? He's taking like that's what it is. Like you got to.
Yeah, there is an element of controlling the narrative, which I think sometimes like Man United, we deserve the pylon we're getting right now. Some days I look at certain United fans and I'm like, no one's noticed that. Why are you making that? Why are you bringing it to attention? When I was younger, the phrase we would use is like don't be so bait, bruv. Sometimes it's like if no one's talking about it, why do you need to? Do you know what I mean? I get that sometimes.
My thing, Terry, isn't on the entire squad. Don't get me wrong, the squad isn't as good as it should be. But if we had a different manager, I personally believe we could get a lot more out of that squad than where we are in the league table right now. I've been saying that for months.
I get you on that. Look, viewers, we'd love to get your score predictions. Newcastle traveling to what I still call it White Hart Lane because I like the old school names. White Hart Lane. Getting that done. Arsenal they go away to Brighton. How do you think Arsenal will fare this weekend?
I think they'll draw. I think the game that they beat Brentford in the other day, I think it was a chippy match. I know they conceded the early goal. Then David Raya had to make a fantastic save. But I actually like how Arsenal have been handling themselves since Saka's been out. So I definitely do think that they can go and get a. See, that's the thing though, because
his Arsenal hate
I don't know how to
came
call
back
it.
in there. See? It just crept back in. He's like, nah, I ain't gonna do it. I ain't committing. I can't do this.
Now wait, to be fair,
I knew it. I knew there was something going wrong.
To be fair, on Staffy's channel, I did predict 4-1 for Arsenal over Brentford. I was close. They all laughed at me. They called me a madman.
I'd have to see
but the thing is, Brighton are a very good team, and we know that. Did Brighton? They beat you guys earlier this season, or was it a draw? Because it's the red card, right?
Draw. It was a draw and a red card. It was the red card. It was the Rice red card, wasn't it? I swear.
Yeah. Like it was the red card.
We owe them one.
I see a. You know what? I go Arsenal win.
You're lying. You're even like you're about to say draw, but you're like just because I don't want them to know the truth. I'm gonna say Arsenal win, bro. We know you don't think we're winning, bro. It's
just hard to predict because
bro, your body language tells us everything we need to know.
Arsenal, like that's all. But I think that you can get the dub. I just don't know like what to expect per se. Like, is it gonna be like a cagey game
or 1-1? You predict
raise the line on set pieces and whatnot? So yeah, I'll go Arsenal 2-1.
You're a fraud, but yeah, whatever.
Oh,
anybody see a banana?
I'm optimistic about Arsenal. It's a problem. I criticize Arsenal. It's a problem. What do you want from me?
I just want honesty, Will. That's it. Honesty.
Yeah, like honesty.
Commit because you're about. This is what happened. You were bigging us up, then you checked yourself out. This is too much prop. Then you criticize us, and you're like, let me just balance it out by saying, Arsenal win. Yeah, Arsenal win.
Nah, Arsenal
the shot's not coming this weekend. It's not coming this weekend. They will drop points to a stupid team, but it won't be Brighton, I don't think.
I think Brighton could get something out of this. That they're normally better against bigger teams. They've beaten us. They've beaten City. They got something against Forest. They played well against Liverpool in the League Cup at home as well. With all that being said, that their home form, I mean, I don't know if you watched the Palace game, but they were dreadful. The way Arsenal set up though, like, and the form that Jesus is on, I'm going to do a will here. Arsenal should win, right? They should go out there and get like a 2-0 win. But I've just got a feeling it's going to be a draw, like a 1-1.
This is just crazy.
Henry, in their last 5 games, I think I saw it's like Brighton have, I think like 1 loss and like 4 draws. They haven't won.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So like their form's not been the best. Like they've fallen off because they were a lot higher in the table like a few months ago, and it's kind of just been like a downward trajectory, which is why like we don't hear about Brighton as much anymore. But yeah, I think Arsenal should win this game. Like
they should win. This football
I wouldn't be surprised if it was a draw.
This YouTube thing is sensational because Henry earlier on was laughing at me when I said Jesus could reach double figures, and now he used Jesus for
but he's the only one at the
a reason why Arsenal could win the game. And if he scores a couple goals, he might even reach double figures this weekend. So I don't.
But when does his knee go?
Huh?
When does his knee go?
Once the January window is closed.
Yeah, and you didn't sign anyone, and it'd be on like 7 goals.
As soon as the January window was closed, I was like, "Yeah, Jesus, you're about to do that thing, aren't you? You're about to do that thing, aren't you?"
I mean, he is only on 3 goals this year. If he ends up on double-digit goals after this game, I'll be very impressed.
Who's going to get more goals, Jesus or Sancho? That would be the.
They play.
Well, it depends what you want to do. If it's if we include, because we can. I personally say whenever you do those bets, it should only be in the league, because that's the only competition where everyone plays the
I'm down with that.
That's true.
But if Sancho goes and plays Conference League games,
no, 4 goals in one game, bro.
You can't be. No, you can do it, but every Champions League goal is worth 3 Conference League goals. But then they
that's cheating. That's cheating, man.
Nah, it's not. It's not.
If Sancho tells it in from 30 yards in the Conference League, that's harder than tapping it in the Champions League game.
No, not necessarily. It's harder to make the tapping. I mean, listen, you've played 2 teams this year. One called Serviette for wiping your mouth. The other one was named. The other one was named after Noah's Ark, bruv. Literally.
Yeah, and they're a great team, and they've been killing it in the Armenian League. Respect.
Who's the they? Who's the they, David?
What? Who?
What's the name of the team that have been killing it?
Noah.
What's their full name? Noah what?
Nah, FC Noah, Kunle. That's
No.
Why are you helping him out, Dad, man?
They're called Noah, bro.
What do you want me to say?
He would have struggled.
I knew. Right. Okay. I knew they were in the Armenian League. Give me something, all right?
Actually, true. Fair play.
Give me something, all right?
Yeah,
I know.
I didn't even know that.
Shamrock Rovers and them. Come on.
Yeah. What are you saying? What are you saying, Dan? Do you think Arsenal will pick up the win, or is this a banana skin in your opinion?
I mean, it was a banana skin earlier on in the season when they went down to 10 men, and Arteta was really negative. But I don't see that happening. Brighton have been really poor for me recently. I actually think Herzl is starting to look like he might have been found out. I think a lot of teams have been coping with Brighton and how they've been playing. Danny Welbeck obviously isn't playing as much and hasn't got the form. Jorginho Rutter, João Pedro. I just don't see enough in those players to be beating a side like Arsenal and getting the better of their defence. So I think Arsenal score 3 goals against them.
Nah. Respect the Seagulls. They're not scoring 3.
I think they will.
The last 2 visits there, we've scored more than 3, Henry.
Yeah, I honestly think Arsenal.
We scored 4 in our last 2 visits to their stadium. 4, both times.
Don't be surprised if it's a draw. I mean, David was coming on there telling me they were going to bang Ipswich, and then all of a sudden that happened. So
don't compare us to Chelsea, please.
Yeah, but David probably said that not expecting the lineup to be what it was.
Yeah, but you should have still beaten Ipswich.
No, regardless,
I'm not saying we shouldn't have, but if you'd have said to David, this is the lineup that's going to play Ipswich, I don't know, what would you have said, David? Because I would have straight away been
instead of saying 3-1, I would have probably said 2-1.
The bigger point is you're using a Chelsea
example. It's complete bias.
Back up an Arsenal.
Now, Arsenal beat Brighton, they'll do it with ease. I'll say that.
Doing it with ease.
I reckon 3-1, though. Trossard scores again.
I'm saying 2 set pieces.
Listen, let us know in the comment section, people, what you think about that game. Is there any point on this show previewing Liverpool versus Man United? I'm not saying that because I'm a United fan.
Yes.
What are we actually?
It depends what you're trying to get out of it, though.
I mean, I'm just asking questions. I just mean it. I'm not trying to get away from hearing it. I just feel like I know. Paraphrasing here, you are all predicting 3, 4, 5 goals to Liverpool, a beat down, and United getting slapped up. Am I right?
Why'd you try to add 3 goals in there, Terry? Come on. We're starting at 4. Minimum. We're starting at 4. Like, don't try to keep 3 in there. We're starting at least 4 or 5. You guys are about to get sacrificed during this game. Like,
I genuinely think they either lose 6-0 or they win 1-0 in the 80th minute.
No,
that's the only. There's 2 ways. This either Liverpool keep banging on the door and they hit a post, they slide it in Rose End, and then somehow, like as Rowie just kicks the ball and then it deflects on Van Dijk and it goes in and they win 1-0.
There's no scenario, man. You win.
They score in the first 3 minutes.
It's not like a City situation where
it's
it's at Anfield as well, man.
What's your record loss, Terry?
Is it
7-0?
7-0.
It could be that.
I think
the bigger question is, can that be matched? Can we go further?
Can they lose by 8? Is crazy.
No, it could be beat because this is the worst we've seen United, and they lost 7-0 to Liverpool when they were arguably a little bit better.
And Liverpool on fire right now as well.
Songs have 8 in them. There's no songs I can think of with 8 in them.
I think you shipped 8 to United once, Kunle, didn't you?
I'm talking about songs, man. Songs. No, I don't know if that.
I didn't hear the songs bit. Sorry.
Like Dan, obviously, I know it's different because
Dan, is that what we're doing?
I'm trying to be as optimistic for United as possible. I'm trying to be.
Don't lie to yourself.
I remember because I remember when we've been 10th.
You don't need to control the narrative here, David. Just be honest.
and then we played Spurs, and Spurs have been in really good form, and they've been 2nd or 3rd in the league, and then we cleaned them. It might.
Yeah, but that's Spurs, bro. That's Spurs.
Yeah, relegation sides. They can
use Spursy examples for Man U and Arsenal.
But do you know what I mean? Like, it could happen. It really could happen.
But the thing is, do they believe that? I sense that when, for instance, obviously we just played Man United. The bigger fear is because I know that last year, for instance, there was a big expectation Liverpool would whip Man United, and it ended up being, what was it, 1-1 or something like that?
Nil.
That's it. So there was a bit of that element of luck that David was talking about. I would though say that this is just me, just the recent team that's played Man United, and the sense I got from watching the stadium, watching the game, is that there was a real sense of fear from those players, especially in that first half from Man United, and like they kind of, it felt like they already expected to be beaten, and that's Newcastle at Old Trafford. Heaven help what's going to happen at Anfield in that first half. And the crowd is going to be goading them, the Liverpool players saying, "Come, let's get more, let's get more." It's going to be relentless. Like Newcastle came to do that, to do a professional job, just do 1-2 and we're gone. Liverpool, because of the rivalry and everything else,
I hope they use lube, man.
Yeah, so I just sense from you're already a team in transition in terms of trying to change from one style to the next. Amorim is doing his best to sound, kind of confidence, but I think he's already having to say, this is my style, or I'm kind of have to leave or whatnot. I know what he said, like I'm paraphrasing here. And that's my only work. In these games, it's always about the mentality for me. And if I'm already sensing the fear, this is against Newcastle, already sensed fear, it's gonna be even multiplied by 10 against Liverpool. Like there's going to be expectancy of when is that next goal going to come in, and so that's why my prediction is like why the score is a lot more higher than it should be than I would have otherwise said.
Terry, I have a question in terms of the style of play, and because of the lack of overall quality you have in the squad. Do you think that would you prefer that he's trying to play his style of play, or would you like him to go to something different to manage the situation a bit until maybe he has a big transfer?
I don't want him to abandon his philosophy, but if you look at all the cases and points at Sporting, he didn't go out when he played City in the Champions League a few weeks ago. They didn't set up the same way as they do when they're playing at home to Boa Vista. So he understands that there are games where you've got to absorb. We did it at Arsenal very well. It's literally your corner kicks that broke the game. I still believe that if you hadn't scored from those corner kicks, I'm not sure if you'd have broken us down and scored that day. We were able to nullify you quite well. City, that we know they've had their problems, but still, we had a lot of the ball against them. He didn't go all out attack. The Newcastle game, for me, there's a kind of an anomaly in there for all the games against some of the bigger sides. Is he just picked a completely immobile midfield, including Xerxes. We made the changes. I just think if it had started the game with Mainu, the way after the change, it could have been a little bit different. What I'm more concerned about is the mistakes from the players. That's actually even the 2 Newcastle goals, and I don't want to sound like I'm taking much away from them. Isak's goal wasn't amazing. He had a free header from a few yards out. I know he celebrates like that, but even the celebration was a bit like, fucking hell, is it that easy? That for me, that's more my concern, is players switching off, not being in the right positions. I know that this manager can, because he said it, and a lot of people ignore what he says because they want to push a narrative. He's done it in games. He will make adjustments depending upon who he's playing, but that doesn't mean the idea massively changes. He's even said it in his first interview. He went, sometimes in my time here, we'll play with 3, sometimes we'll play with 4. He said there isn't much difference. Often when teams play with 4 at the back, when they're out of possession, they drop to a back 5 anyway, because the DM drops so deep. For me, it's about the mistakes of the players. That's what I'm more focused on. If you actually go and look, I'm just looking at our recent games now. and again, I know it'll annoy rivals. I don't want to hear this, but I felt that Martinez was massively at fault for both goals. If he keeps goal side of Joe Linton, I'll be short, but if he keeps goal side of both players, maybe they don't go in, as an example, even though they were the better team. I think about the Wolves game. We were, Bruno getting himself sent off when it was still 0-0, and then you can see directly from a corner. That's weird. That's not the manager playing 3 at the back that got Bruno sent off, and you can see from a corner. The Spurs game, the Bournemouth game, again, some of those goals in that match, the mistakes that led to them are uncanny. The Forest game, doing all right. And a ball gets shot at the goalkeeper and he falls out of the way. Like, I'm not making this up. And then another ball gets knocked across this. Sandro's there, clear it. He just watches it bounce into the net. I can't legislate for that. That, for me, is not the manager's system directly. This is players, I think, that know they don't have a long-term future at the club. I think they've switched off. And that's more my concern than what the manager is doing. And that's going to be our biggest Liverpool are amazing. I'm not going to play them down in any capacity. It's the mistakes. It's the mistakes for me that I'm more worried about than the manager's system. I think he should stick to his principle. I think he should keep training it. And as we add more and more players, I keep hearing United fans go, no, just get the best out of what we can. And then when you build the squad, start to implement how you want them to play. That's not how every other fucker here whose club has gone through a rebuild did it. Some of them are more successful than others. Liverpool, when they started to rebuild under FSG, City didn't keep playing like they had no money and shit players. When they started having money, they started implementing better football straight away. You cannot wait. You have to do that at the beginning. It's how everybody else has done it. So the fact that we think that we can do it another way, I think is a little bit arrogant of Man United fans, in my opinion. And I saw a United fan the other day use Newcastle and went, Eddie Howe took over a team in 19th. Maybe he got the team playing so well straight away because he had all the right players for his system. And they won one of their first 10 games. People forget this. They didn't start doing better until the January. 1, 130 million spent. 2, he started getting time to train the players. But from day one, he went from what was a 5-4-1 that Bruce was using. From day one, went 4-3-3 and has never looked back. The example is there's no clear linear path in terms of it's going to be half of 10 games and it's going to get better. Some people, it might take 20 games. Some people, it will start really well. And we've seen sort of Patrick Vieira's do very well in the first 10, 11 games, and then it falls away. You guys talking about Brighton a minute ago, maybe questioning the manager there a little bit. The worst thing we can do is follow suit and follow the same path as the last 11 years. And that's a manager abandoning what his principles are, abandoning the style of football that he's been brought into the club to teach. And secondly, not changing the personnel and players to suit how that manager wants to play. That, for me, if we do that, we might as well go. I'm prepared for the next 2 or 3 years. I'm prepared for the pain. It's horrible. I'm not looking forward to this weekend at all. But I'd rather the pain of losing 10-0 at the weekend, but knowing and believing that we're building something sustainable for the future. It would hurt me more if this weekend we play a different system and the manager says, you know what, I'm abandoning it. That would hurt me more than losing 10-0. That would hurt me a lot more, because if I look at every other club that's been shit, that has rebuilt everything, there's certain paths they all take. And the fact that any Man United fan that thinks we can do it, I saw a United fan say, you just keep sacking managers until you find the right one. That logic is such bullshit when you look at the context of where Man United are. Stick to the fucking principle, build the squad whilst you're implementing it. I've got multiple other things have to happen behind the scenes as well. But if he abandons it, then I abandon all hope for the foreseeable future, in my personal opinion.
Yeah, and I just want to add to that. I think I don't think he will abandon it, but he needs to be backed by the board. I think yourself and someone said it earlier is what you're saying is right. It's whether the board are willing to take the pain that's gonna be. How far can they go? Because this is going to be very, very painful, and it's going to be very we don't know when it's going to end, essentially, in terms of like results, to say, for instance, or whatnot. How much that they're going to back him. So we're all going to learn, because if they do take him away, it's too much. What
a lot of people want to do is January. So a lot of people are on diets. A lot of people are going back to the gym. And what a lot of Man United, and I've also saw someone in the comments say, Terry, that's stupid logic. I don't believe it is. Man United right now are like me, 2 or 3 stone overweight, not very good cardiovascular fitness because I haven't been doing enough of that over time. And I need to sort myself out. It's the truth. I'm honest about it. The only way I'm going to get myself fitter, looking how I want to look, lifting the weights I used to, and actually I'm getting back into a little bit of fighting. The only way I'm doing that is to push through the pain. Mm-hmm. Now, the first 3 or 4 weeks back in the gym, eating healthy. Today, I've eaten very well. I finished my dinner and I am clucking for something sweet because my body's too used to it. I can push through that pain because I've got willpower. What we don't want to do as Man United fans is go, fuck it, I'm gonna sneak a couple of jelly tots around the corner. I'm gonna have a few wine gums here. I'm gonna skip the gym today. Do you know what? I'm not gonna go hard on my legs today. I'm gonna sit in the jacuzzi and take it easy. If I cut those corners, I'm never gonna get to the goals. And this is the problem with a lot of Man United fans. And I don't think it's specific. I think it's just people in general. Everybody wants to take the easy route. Everybody wants to cut corners. The problem is in elite level sport, you can't cut corners and get to the top unless you cheat, right? And I don't want the club cheating. Man United fans are delusional, and some of them are. I mean, they're the people that are suggesting change philosophy, change, adapt, and all this bollocks. They're the same people that have believed just sacking Ten Hag and just sacking Ollie and just sacking Jose were going to make us a better team, and they've been wrong about that. So excuse me for not wanting to follow their view on this. It's going to be painful this weekend if we lose badly. There's going to be many more bad results on the horizon, but we have to persevere through this while we implement a system, a style of play, and build the squad. And hopefully at the same time, the culture is being changed at the football club, the wage structure is being sorted, the new stadium is going to be built, the training ground comes along. When all those things start to happen at the same time, the club will start to improve. But United fans have got to wake up and smell the coffee. We are beyond broken. I don't think we can be necessarily fixed. I think we need to throw it away and start again, like literally start the build again. And that's going to take time and it's going to be painful. What I wish we could do is like what some athletes do, like fighters do, where we can just take ourselves out of all competitions while we build it, right? You can take yourself away for a few years, but you can't in football. You've got to stay competing. So you see all the pain and the heartache. And a lot of people just don't have the stomach for it, unfortunately, but we have to do it. So yeah, for me, that's the most important thing. Just before the end, I want to do these super chats here. It says, Terry, if roles were reversed, if Liverpool were in this position of United, and likewise, what score would you want? Oh, I would 15-0. Yeah, I expect Liverpool fans to want the biggest score possible. That makes complete and utter sense to me.
Is it still Man United Ipswich with the highest Premier League score?
9-1, maybe. I think it might be a bigger one than that now.
Wait, how many did Andy Cole score in that game? Was it 5?
Defoe did it against Wigan as well with 5.
Yeah,
Salah could get 5.
Was it 5 though?
You could.
I think it was a pub quiz question. And I think.
By the way, if we get beat like that, that's when serious questions have got to be asked of these players. Because I still don't think, as bad as we are, you should be conceding like that. Because the reason I say that is there are relegation teams that are worse than us that won't. That's giving up. When we lost 7-0 to Liverpool, that was giving up, and there is no excuse for that because there are worse teams than us. We came 3rd in the league that year. There are definitely worse teams than us that didn't lose 7-0. You can't. There's no excuse for it. All I care for Liverpool is 2 wins. I don't care by how much. I understand that, Omar, and that's fair. Like, yeah, you want the win first. If someone said to a Liverpool fan, you can win 1-0 guaranteed, or you might win 8-0, but you could also lose. I think most are going to take the 1-0 in reality. Well, it depends. But some of you are probably confident win the league anyway. Terry, you cannot use Sir Alex Ferguson time when we were the most dominant team. No, when I was giving the Fergie example earlier, that was in the 80s when we were a laughing stock still. So I was very specific with the timings on that, my friend. Done these 2 super chats from earlier. This one here says Omar Marmoush is very good in the transition. He plays against high lines that suit his game. Would it suit for Arsenal?
Is he rapid though? That's what
That's the question. United situation reminds me the time when I tried to overcome my wanking addiction, Terry. But it's true. And there must have been those days there, Debbie Miller, where you sat there and all you wanted was a stiff one in your hands, but you had to persevere through that problem there, Debbie. You did. Keep playing his style, but not to lose. I don't know what you mean. I mean, we don't play to lose. We're not trying to lose the games. We are trying to win. But it's the thing is as well. I've seen the media, with every single one of the managers at our clubs that have been successful in the early days, if it wasn't clicking day one, go, you got to change it, you got to change it, you got to change it. The ones who stuck to their principles by and large, who are also good. Again, there's another question. If you don't think Amarim's a good enough coach, if you think he's a bust, that's a different conversation. But I'm talking about the principles of rebuilding the club. You've got to stick to them. If you don't think Amarim's a good enough coach, that's a different conversation. But what we have to do to get back to the top remains the same, irrespective of who that coach is. Already done that one here. For the panel, bench Trent if the exit is confirmed in January. Well, he won't be benched, will he? Oh, you mean
emotional.
if he's... Yeah, no, you got to keep playing him, mate.
Just
He's the
playing
greatest
him.
right back your club's ever had. He's a legend at your club.
Why is it?
Come on, Liverpool, relax,
I
man. These
know
guys
we
got
don't
to
have
relax.
much time to talk about it, but why is it that Liverpool is the only club that can't let somebody just go? Like,
Because
actually,
Carragher said so, man. Carragher said
bro.
it's different when it's Liverpool. It's different, mate.
It's different.
Like, hey, it's not different, mate.
let people make like they're grown ups. Like let them make a
Let them
decision.
live,
on their
man.
life, bro. Like it's not.
I mean, you want everything for your club, but you're not allowing him to let him leave.
It's crazy.
They'll be
open
okay.
arms.
They'll be okay.
Listen,
Better
gents,
things now.
I want to... what the hell has that super touch some grass? Yeah, someone's just being funny, mate. I won't worry about it. I want to thank all of our super chatters, all of our viewers, everyone who's hit the like button, nearly 3,000 likes. So go and get that smash now. Brilliant panel as ever. I want to thank you all for tuning in. We're back tomorrow with shows, including Straight Facts, which should be quite a lot of fun. I think Staffy's in a bad mood. Take care. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you all again very, very soon. Peace.